All right, folks, we're live. This is the pre-show for a few minutes before we get all boosted up. And hi.
I'm amazing.
Hi, you're amazing. We're not on air yet. We're just broadcasting to the YouTube channel and to the Facebook chat channel. Hey, Leslie, good to see you. Matthew Sainsbury, good to see you.
I'm doing my hair.
And Rowan's doing her hair. Let's see. Let me get our
I'll be back.
all our stuff. I'll be here for an hour. Okay, I'm gonna get the sound recording for. I want to make sure I'm not too hot on the mic. I listened last night when I was editing the show, and everything was really hot on the mic. So, testing 1 2, testing 3 4. When you tell you're too hot, it buzzes a little bit on the high side of the microphone. All right, there's that. I'm going to turn on our stream over here. There, we are connected to the stream now. I'm going to turn up my headset so I can just hear testing 1 2 3 4. Ah, there we go. I did not peek out, so that's a good thing. All right. Let's go back over here. And so those of you joining over on the YouTube stream, welcome. Over in the chat room, those of you joining up over on the Facebook page, watching the video over there and joining the chat over there, welcome. And that's Facebook. You look for the Odyssey Radio page, and you'll find this. We've got a couple of minutes left before we go live. So remember, all of you just joining for the first time, this is just a little build-up. They're in commercial break right now, and we roll live in about a minute and a half-ish, thereabouts. Hey, Grumpy Stack, good to see you. Barbara, Barbie D, good to see you. And Sean Stroik, good to see you, brother. And you're here early tonight. I don't know, maybe you're here all the time on time. We've got a whole segment of our Intrepids that join the show after 9 o'clock. So an hour after we start. So I hope I'm not competing with somebody for them. We've been at the 9 o'clock hour for a long time, but we did take several months off. Man, I should have brushed my teeth before the show. I feel like they need brushing. You ever do that throughout the day? You're like, man, I wish I could brush my teeth right now. Hey, Siani Reese. All right. Whew, I have been just under the weather the last 3 weeks almost. Rainey had it, then I had it. Just keeps knocking me off my butt. Don't know what it is. It's not COVID. So, okay, here we go, folks. Going dark, and we'll come back in a few seconds.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Well, hey, folks, welcome to the program. This is Scotty Roberts. You are listening to and watching the Intrepid radio program right here on the Odyssey Radio Network. And that's Odyssey Radio. Go on over to ODYSYradio.com. And you can see all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio. And that is for the audio-only stream because it's a radio station. And, of course, you know, I think the younger generation and the younger set are never going to know what a real radio station was because they're so used to radio being associated with audio and visual. And so that's what we got, both of them going on here tonight, right now. And I want to say hi to a couple of people over in the chat room where all the Intrep heads gather. I see one new name, Max Vision Remote Viewing Class. How are you doing? Can you teach me how to remotely view? I see a room with a Persian rug. Not making fun of you, just making fun. And Roger Rabbit, good to see you. Siani Reese, Leslie Holker, Matthew Sainsbury, Grumpy Stack. The same old usual crowd is in the room. And it's 5 o'clock or 9 o'clock on a Friday. The regular crowd shuffles in. And if you are listening in audio only over on Odyssey Radio, you can also see the Odyssey Radio Facebook page where you can see the visual of this show and a chat room over there. But most of the chatting seems to go on over at the YouTube channel. And that's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts, my name. And you can go over and join the live chat room with the live Intrep heads over there. Let's see. Max says, hi, Scotty, you can already remote view. That's really cool. Maybe you and I need to have a conversation, and we should do one on this show. By the way, speaking of that, it's a little bit of an open mic tonight. Not super open, because it's not going to be like the whole hour dedicated to any one person. But if you've got something you want to contribute to this show, boom, there is the, whoops, hold on. That is not it. I want to invite... Copy to the clipboard. Boom. And smammo. There we go. All right. That link right there that I just posted into the chat rooms, that is the link you can click on and come live in audio and visual into my studio. Fret not if I do not call you in right away. Just give me a little announcement over in the chat room that you're coming in. And what you want to talk about, and I'll see you all the way over here on my screen, and I can bring you in. Now, we have enough of, I have set up some parameters on this chat room a couple of weeks ago, because we were getting weird trolls coming in, and, you know, I don't really care all that much, but I don't want it disrupting the show for other people. So I made sure that you had to be a subscriber to the channel in order to be able to use the function to get online with me. Now, being a subscriber, that doesn't cost you nothing. You can be a subscriber to this channel. Just hit the subscribe button and you're automatically a subscriber. Now, joining the channel and becoming a member of the channel, that's different. And if you want to do that, just click on the join button, and you'll see what you can do to join my my YouTube channel. And so anybody who is in the chat room has already subscribed to this channel. And so you can't come into the studio via the studio line unless you have subscribed. So there you go. And so welcome to everybody that's coming into the chat room. And tonight I kind of left it open mic. And some of that isn't by grand design that I have this grand places we want to go with an open mic show tonight, talking about ghosts or the paranormal or anything like that. It is because my brain is dead today, and I didn't want to do anything super stretching my brain cells tonight. And maybe some of you think I don't do that much of that anyway, but I didn't want to sink the time into thinking too hard. And so I said, let's just keep it open tonight. And so if anybody wants to come in, they can come in. What can I do for you? There's my child. This is how she comes into the broadcast. There is Rowan Claire. Say hi, Rowan, since you're here. What's on your mind? Got any ghost stories?
No,
I know you do. You've told me ghost stories.
that's for a different night.
No, that's for tonight. That's what tonight's
I
about.
don't have the thing tonight.
What thing?
The thing I need to tell the thing.
The thing you need to tell the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, why don't you tell everybody about some of the things that you have experienced around here some nights?
Oh.
So,
Scary story.
oh, no, not on the phone, though. Oh, you were shining it up like you want to do that. Maybe Ellery has. Come over to this side, Ellery. Here's one of my other little girls. This is my 7-year-old. What's your scary story? Step up a little closer so you can hear on the mic. Here is a haunted story from Ellery. Let's hear it.
So, it was Halloween night, and this dude broke out of prison.
Oh God, I know this.
This didn't happen to you?
No, this isn't a real.
Oh, this is
story.
just a story. Okay,
Yeah.
speed it up. Let's
It's on
hear it.
TikTok.
So, yeah, he broke out of prison. He went in this girl's house.
Yeah.
This girl.
He hid under her bed.
Okay. He hid under her bed.
And this girl heard like dripping noises, so
Dripping noises.
She
Drip,
went,
drip, drip, drip.
So
Thank you for the sound effects.
she went and checked her kitchen sink, her bathroom sink.
Yeah.
She
And
only
then-
checked her bathroom sink.
Only her bathroom sink.
No,
Yes.
Okay.
Let her tell the story. Let her tell it.
Let her tell it.
Fine.
and then she turned around, and then her dog was hanging in the shower, and then she turned,
He was hanging in the shower
and
like,
there was blood.
hey, excuse me. I'm taking a shower here listening to tunes.
No, the murderer hung the dog by the neck.
Oh, there was a murderer who hung the dog by the neck.
Yeah, then
And the dog didn't bark?
the dog was dripping blood.
Dripping blood.
Would you stop?
Drip,
I'm
Would
just
you
doing the
stop?
sound effects.
drip.
All right. So tell me more.
And then
There is
she
no more.
turns around again, and then her mirror is written on, and then it says people can lick too.
Cause you didn't
People
tell.
can lick too.
Let me tell the whole story. Okay, so it was Halloween night. This psycho broke out of prison.
Okay.
Right? And this girl was going to bed, and she was kind of scared, so she locked all her windows, all her doors. And let's see, she went to bed, and she woke up to a noise: drip, drip, drip. And she was scared, so she pet her dog, right?
Yep.
And her dog licked her hand, and she went back to sleep. Woke up around
Oh.
5 a.m.
I
Drip.
see.
Drip, drip. And she pet her dog again, and her dog licked her hand. Next thing you know, she wakes up to check all the things that could be dripping because she doesn't like the dripping noise. She checks all her sinks, goes to the bathroom. her dog's hanging by a rope from the
Oh, and we're
shower.
gonna call her Ashley.
Let's
the
call her
shower.
Ashley. That's important at this juncture of the story.
His blood, she hears drip, drip, drip from
How
her
much blood did this dog have?
And then in the mirror it says people can lick too. So the whole time the murderer was licking.
So when she's reaching down to pet her dog in the night and the dog licked her hand, it was really the psycho from prison.
The psychopath. Would you stop?
What? What did I do?
You went.
I'm just adding to the special effects. Okay, Ro, did you have a story you wanted to tell before we let you go?
I don't know, do I?
And we move on? I don't know. Do you? I don't know. Do I?
Oh yeah, I do. It's not scary though. It's like how someone tried to kidnap me in Madison.
How someone tried to kidnap you in Madison?
The
so me and
dinosaur.
Madison.
What?
What?
The girl's name is Madison, not in Madison.
Yeah, Dad.
Yeah, that's what I said. Someone tried to. I knew she was talking about Madison.
Madison lives right across the train tracks from us, and those.
Okay.
apartments.
Okay.
But me, Madison, and Armani, we were walking to the park because we have a little park in the middle of our neighborhood,
Right.
and we were just chilling. Okay.
Chilling.
Apple and Handbag's house.
Sure.
Okay.
We were just chilling there, right? And then Armani's mom calls. Armani's mom says she has to come home, so Armani goes home because she lives in the neighborhood. too.
Armani?
Yes.
Okay.
And then me
It's
and
like a
Madison.
suit. Go ahead.
And then me and Madison continue walking a little bit. And we're about right in the middle of our pond in the neighborhood. And there was like this black GMC or something. It like had all tinted windows, but it just pulled.
Black GMC with all tinted windows. Okay. I'm just clarifying.
And it pulled up right next to us, and it started going like really slow right next to us. And then this person comes out with its dogs, and another car comes, and it's like speeds away.
Holy cow. So they almost kidnapped you?
Yeah, pretty much. We had 911 ready on my phone, and
Oh, boy.
Madison was recording.
I thought you were
Nice.
telling the Barney one.
Barney
Okay.
is a dino.
Yeah, that's a scary story right there. I love you. You love me. Okay, guys. I'm going to have you get down off my chair. And let's see if anybody out there else has a scary story here. You know, you are going about that the whole wrong way. There you go. All right.
Barney is a dinosaur.
And I'm going to try to not swallow the mic tonight and send that off the high end.
Barney
Rainey, do you have a scary story tonight? No scary stories? She was helping the girls out. So you don't want to come over and tell a scary tale? You're working? Okay. She wants to make sure you hear the harsh tone that while we're on air that she's working and busy. I'm working and busy. Okay. All right. It's okay. It's my job to ask. All right, guys, you go over.
Called you Showin, Rowan.
No, that's Sean. Somebody said, thank you, Sean.
Yeah,
That was Michelle Canham Free. Okay, guys, good night.
Barney is
I
a
need you to go now.
dinosaur of imagination.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, there it is. Yeah, Leslie, that's about as scary as it gets, isn't it? I wanted to talk about some stuff about him tonight, but I know it's a scary show, but we can save that for another night. I don't do politics on the show, but oh my goodness, is it okay to talk about current events going on in our country? I know the president got on the national airwaves tonight and was talking about how good a shape we're in as a country, how the job market is good, how the job numbers are good, how I have never seen a president, such a case of a president. Now, presidents tend to gloss things over for a reason. Now, it's to make sure you don't panic the people or to sell yourself or your party or whatever it might be. I have never seen so many times so blatantly where the president of the United States gets up and says the exact opposite of what's really going on. And that is really hard to handle and hard to watch. And it gets really old. And I think, too, there are theories. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are theories that are out there in the mainstream. I see them on mainstream news stories and news magazines and things like that. But people on the radio, even, I hear now, you can get a conspiracy theory and false information from any of those kinds of sites too, but they are talking about the Hunter Biden scandal. And why should we even worry about that? What's connected to the president about that? Well, everything about it connects to the president, the former vice president under Obama. And without getting into it, everything connects him to that. More so than Trump making the former president making a phone call to the Russian government, the Russian president, and saying, can you find out what's going on in this situation with Burisma and all of those? And so there are connections, and what you're hearing now in the news, even places like the Washington Times, the Washington Post, all these major news outlets, CNN even. I saw a news story on CNN. These are all, it was really the Biden News Network coalition. It was these news outlets that worked very hard over time to get Biden elected or to unelect Donald Trump. And this is what they worked at. This is what they did. And so when you look at the stories they suppressed, stories they didn't tell you much about, stories that they had their own versions of stories that were counter to those stories, you got a problem. And they suppressed information. And they suppressed stuff about Hunter Biden and the laptop. And they treated it like it was nothing. Now all these outlets are saying it's a real thing, folks. And they want to get on, they have to get on the bandwagon now so they don't look like idiots when this all breaks wide open. And so they have to be talking about this stuff. And so this is a problem. And you start seeing the president, and there is not a conspiracy theory, but there is a underlying thread in all of this. People who dissect the news stories out there that are saying the left or the Democratic Party doesn't want to see another Biden term. And so they are making sure that there is something with which to hang about the president's neck. Not that I don't even know how Joe Biden could, in all good conscience, run again, or anybody would vote for him. And I just have a word for the never Trumpers that were out there during the last election. Well, how you liking life right now? How you liking the government now? You never Trumpers. So there you go. I don't care what you think about Trump. He was voted out, and there was a major action against him to keep him from getting into office. Why? Or to take the office again. I believe it's because he actually did shit and got shit done. And that very much worried the other side of the political spectrum. And there it is in a nutshell. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Because that is, I'm going to start lapsing into politics very quickly. That's just an overview of what's going on. So there you are. And so we'll come back to that. We've got Matthew Sainsbury. It looks like it says he's trying to call in, but then it says your device is not connected, Matthew. I don't know if you're actually there or not. Let's give you a shot here. Adding you to the stream. This says you're in the stream, but you know what? We don't see you. There it is. That's how we're seeing Matthew Sainsbury right now. So he is gone. If you can get your glitch fixed, come on back. And let's see, he wasn't really with any party, says Sean Stroik. Not sure what you have there. Yeah, Biden is having a brain fart. That's true. And I will say this, there are parts of me that do not I do not cast much nastiness at Biden. I sometimes think the man is not really aware of what he's doing. He is a figurehead. He was elected into that position to be a figurehead for the left. And I'm pretty sure they had a deal that said, you read the cards we give you and you go along with that, and no private conversations with the media. You just do what we tell you to do, and we'll make sure this happens and that happens, or we don't. I don't know. Maybe they knew about all this back then. They say we don't bring this all up. I don't know what the plan was behind the scenes. Biden was not running for president because he had the brains to become president or had the wherewithal to become president. He didn't get elected for those reasons. And we're all seeing the outcome of that right now. And so that's a problem. There's a spook story for you right there. Matthew Sainsbury, I think you're having the same kind of problem trying to come in. There he is trying to make himself known. Matthew Sainsbury. Earth to Matthew Sainsbury. Matthew Sainsbury, can you hear us? There he is. Hey, Matthew. Can you hear us? Bum, 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 ba, bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum. Matthew Sainsbury. Oh, your sound is awful. It's not even turning into words. Matthew, I got to cut you out of there. See if you can find out what's going on with your sound and your broadcast over there. So maybe a bunch of you like the Manchurian Candidate, says Grumpy Stack. Yeah. I watched him speak, not for very long today, but I wanted to see what he was saying. And I watched a little bit of that, and the look on his face is not one of, I'm lying to you people. If he's lying, he's a pretty good actor. And I don't think he's got the wherewithal to act that good. I think he's being fed what he needs to say. And I don't think he knows any different. And that's the problem. So all the never Trumpers out there, all the I honestly don't think Russia would have attacked Ukraine if Trump had made it into office. I don't think a lot of things would be happening right now if Trump was in office. Do you know when wars take place, when this country is taken advantage of? That happens when the perception out there around the world is that we are weak, not that we are strong. And all these people were so afraid that, they were saying from 2015 onward, Trump's just going to get us into another war. There's going to be this and that. Tell me the war he got us into. So, everything that the left did not like about Trump and was preaching and railing against about Trump, you know what? The left is the one doing it right now. I think... who's running the country, says Sean Stroik. I think that's a good question. And I think, I don't know who exactly it is, but it's probably the coalition of people that are running the president right now. His handlers, the people he has working for him behind the scenes, the people that dragged him into office. They found a way to get him elected. I still believe, without being too conspiratorial about it, I believe the last election was tainted. I do. I believe that there were things that happened in the last election that should not have happened, that were irregularities that should not have taken place. And so that's what I believe happened. And a lot of irregularities behind the scene, a lot of attempting to get every person to vote, even if it was by mail. Now, it's a citizen's right to vote, so you're walking a fine line there. But what is happening when most of the country doesn't usually vote? And you're dragging them all in and finding ways to get everybody to vote. They will follow the person who dangles the candy out there, and they will vote in that direction. And so there was a lot of that. I can't prove that to you with numbers. All I know is the largest election numbers in the history of this country. And Joe Biden wins by the margin that he won, which wasn't a huge margin. But he took half the country with him in numbers that had never been seen before. Is that because everybody was politically engaged all of a sudden? No, it's not. So think about it, folks. Think about it and watch about it. Watch it for it in the next election. Watch for watch for any kind of irregularity or any kind of voting legislation, which has already been tried, coming up before the midterm elections. And I want you to see one thing. We noticed that gasoline went down 6 cents in our little town here in Wisconsin. It was $3.94 today for a gallon of regular gas, regular unleaded. And went down 6 cents. Now, the Biden administration is really going to play that up in the coming weeks. I guarantee it. Look, we brought gas down. The last time they boasted about lowering gas prices about a month ago, it's because there was a 2-cent dip in gas, and we brought it down X%, and it was a nothing dip in gas. We've risen so much more since then, but it came down 6 cents, and you know why? Because yesterday, Biden I don't know what he did, executive order or whatever it was, but released, excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. He released for 180 days, 1 million barrels a day for the next 180 days of our reserve gasoline in this country. Now everybody's going, oh, wow. Well, why doesn't he just take off the restrictions that he's imposed on the production of gasoline in this country? And let's take off the restrictions. Let's blow the gates off. Let's all of Europe is starting to worry because they're all worried about Putin restricting gas, because Putin threatened to restrict gas to the European countries because they're all resisting him. Well, you know what the European countries should say? Well, Putin, you can fuck off. You can keep your gas, because you know what? We'll buy it from the United States. But where's United States production of oil right now? Under the last president, we were oil independent and we were actually exporting. So, and people say, well, we should be developing new kinds of new technology for instead of gas engines, combustion engines. Sure we should. But in the meantime, you don't make sure that we don't have our own production going on. That's a problem. You don't start shutting it down for your Green Deal type of people and force everybody to want to make people. What's the president's solution right now? Literally, it's go buy an electric car. Oh, you know what? You do the math on the electric car. You see how much an electric car costs you. Then look into the non-greenness of the development and the batteries and all of that of an electric car. Doesn't work. Hey, folks, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. We got to step away for a second. So here's what we are going to do. We're going to play a little ad campaign right now, just like the opener. You sit tight. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Well, that was quick, huh? I thought I played the long ad break. Well, I'm back. All right, folks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sitting through that apparently much briefer break than I thought it was going to be. And you put my headset back in. And welcome back to the show. I could have made that go much longer, but I apparently hit the wrong button. So thanks for being here. Yeah, I melted. And so had to step away from the mic for a minute to reorganize my thoughts and to prepare the next segment. So there you go. Yeah, I got beamed up, Morgan Snow. That's right. You take a sip here. Yep, my sound is up. Okay, good. Now, any of you, I know Matthew Sainsbury tried to get in. I think he was having some trouble with his internet on his end. I went to the liberty of grabbing something from an anthropological site that I thought would be interesting, an Anthropology News. And it's 10 things about ghosts and hauntings. And I wanted to well, we won't get through these. You know this show. If you know anything about this show by now, you know that there's problems with trying to get through any kind of numbered, bullet-pointed thing. And so the first point in this I wanted to bring up, Anthropology News says we begin with a premise and a provocation. Hauntings is a universal condition. So where there's history, there's haunting. And being haunted is a condition of living in the world. Ghosts are everywhere, whether we attend to them or not. And ghosts also belong to all times. And one of the great promises of the Enlightenment project was the disenchantment of the world and the banishment of ghosts to the realm of tradition. What, sweetheart? She must not have been talking to me. I thought she said something about ghosts. So in the end, however, the Enlightenment only added new spaces in the world for novel kinds of hauntings to emerge. And modernity's national secularism is similarly haunted, as is the professed hypervisibility of postmodernism and the surveillance state. Ghosts dwell at the heart of modern nation states. Late capitalism and techno-scientific materiality. There are ghosts in all of these machines, so to speak. And the ghost might take on new forms and haunt in new ways, but they remain resolutely and stubbornly present, even in their assumed absence. Nearly half of all adults in Canada and the United States believe in or have encountered ghosts. Have you encountered ghosts? Matthew Sainsbury looks like he's hanging in the wings there, and I can actually see him moving. We'll find out what he's going to talk about. And according to a recent New York Times article, paranormal researcher John E.L. Tenney, I know him very mildly and peripherally. You've seen him if you've seen Amy Bruni's show, Amy Bruni and Adam Berry, their why am I slipping on the name? Somebody real quick. That's a brain fart because my brain is so wiped out today. Kindred Spirits, their show. And you've seen John Tenney had his own show for a while. He wears a trench coat, a bald trench coat, loose tie. Looks a little like a scrappy Constantine out of the comic books, if you remember that. Not the Keanu Reeves version, but Constantine in the trench coat. And but John Tenney has even noted a distinct uptick in hauntings during the pandemic. And in countless ways, we're all caught by this. And we can go on and do a little bit more. This is the end of that first point, though. And let's bring Matthew Sainsbury in. I think he's actually with us now. Matthew, how you doing?
Hi, good night, Scotty Roberts. And I can now see you a lot better now. I was having some problems.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a beautiful voice. I love your accent from down there in the islands in Barbados.
Yeah, thanks very much.
You're
Well, there
welcome.
is a
What do you
ghost
got
story.
for us?
Yeah, there's a ghost story that I know about that is 2,000 years old to show you that hauntings are not, nothing new, that people have experienced hauntings for a long time. There was a house in Athens. I think it was a apartment where it was rented out for a guy, for people. And this Greek philosopher called Athenodorus, he attended
Okay.
the apartment. But apparently, a lot of people, the landlord of that apartment said that he didn't want to really open it up for him because a lot of people who have been in there suffered mental breakdowns because of strange sounds and strange apparitions and chains rattling in the air and things like that. Well,
Sure.
apparently, one day, Athenodorus thought like, oh, this, he being a philosopher, he being a stoic type of guy. He didn't really take it too seriously. So he decided to go himself and see how it was like. So he spent the night in there, and as he was writing on his table with his those stylus
Yes.
letters that they write in these days, he heard the noise of
Right.
shackles and chains going. So he began to think of himself, well, this is my mind playing tricks on me or something. But it got louder and louder, and then he saw a figure of an elderly man shaking and rattling chains. So he was so stoic that he didn't even take the apparition seriously, but he actually shook the chains even closer to him. So he began to become surprised and scared, and it led him out into the courtyard. And what he did is that he saw where the entity vanished. And what he did is that he saw the entity. When he saw the entity vanish, he put some like a leaf or something there. And then the next day, he ordered some guys to do some digging up of that house and that area in the backyard of that house. And they found a skeleton that was wrapped in chains. And apparently this guy was murdered. Some saying that he was actually put in a position where he was chained up inside that under that ground of the house in Athens. So he ordered the guy to give him a proper burial, and since then the hauntings of that place stopped. That was recorded by Pliny the elder, Pliny the younger. I think it was one of those two.
So
Yeah,
you're
so
talking. This is quite a while ago. This is centuries
yeah,
ago.
2,000 years ago. Yeah. Quite cool
All
ghost
right.
story.
Good story. Anything?
Yeah.
What's come of any of the things that you've been looking into there in Barbados? What was the grand
I
house,
wanted
the
to.
mansion?
Yeah. I was trying to find out the Easy Hall area, but I was having some problems in locating that. But I found another place called the Fisher Pond House. That is definitely haunted. But I called there because they usually give tours on a Tuesday. But unfortunately, when I called there, the guy told me that the Fisher Pond House has been closed since 9 years now. So he closed it. But I'm sorry about that because apparently a girl called Violet, she drowned in that
boy.
house. Yeah, and apparently they still hear footsteps and they hear actually bathroom doors shut one another and so on. But I'm sorry that it was closed because they give Tuesday tours on Tuesday for anybody interested in ghosts or apparitions, anything like that. But I'm so sorry it was closed. But
maybe you can get some permission to go in there.
Yeah. I could always try the other. Remember I told you about the other place that had the coffins moving around? A place called the Chase Fall. I planned to see if I can visit that next week and see how that is like. Yeah. That would be good to see how that
All
looks
right.
like.
Well, Matthew, great story. Thanks for
thanks
being
for...
persistent tonight and coming in.
Yeah, so, no problem.
And we'll see you again. We'll talk again, and you've got some other stuff for me. So I know that you wanted to talk about. So, all right, brother. Have a good night.
Okay.
All right, guys. Matthew Sainsbury from Barbados. And you can hear that lilt in his voice. Let's see what's going on over there in the chat room. Where are we at? Man, we're at 9:44 already. And which means we got about 12 minutes left of this show. Rapid Dog, good to see you over there in the chat room. Anybody else got something they want to call in with? Here is the link. There you go. You can share your stories or something that you know of. In the meantime, let me get back to this little anthropological article from Anthropology News about hauntings. So at the same time, it says there is no such thing as a universal ghost. Ghosts are singular and specific. They can only be understood within their own proper historical and ethnographic context. And so from this perspective, the ghost is an object and a subject ripe for ethnographic inquiry. So, following Avery Gordon, we might say that the ghost is a social figure tied to a specific site or a location. Engaging with ghosts as such necessarily involves investigating the economic, political, socio-cultural landscapes that ghosts haunt. What makes a ghost? Why they haunt? Why do they haunt? What is it that can be known about a ghost? All that culturally specific about a ghost, and historically contingent questions. How we act with and toward the ghost is likewise culturally prescribed. We have much to learn from each other about how to reckon with ghosts amid current global crises and decolonial projects that have been years in the making. This task is perhaps more urgent than ever. And this whole idea that ghosts are colloquial, they are mostly to their place. Can you call up spirits of somebody else? When we were working on building the Shakespeare's Globe, trying to get that project off the ground, we're talking 2009, 2010. I'd asked some people in the know about that. Could a ghost, say, of Shakespeare be drawn to a replica of the theater he built if it's built in, 400 years after his death in Wisconsin? And the answer was absolutely he could be. This was John Zaffis, if some of you are familiar with who he is, the nephew of Lorraine and Ed Warren, who are the fictionalized versions of them that are brought up in the Conjuring movies. That couple, that was his aunt and uncle. They were the ones that first went into the Amityville house, and stuff like also this. I have played these for some of you before, and I am going to play a couple of these now. But do you remember when Rainey and I, almost a year and a half ago now, we were at the Water Street Inn in Stillwater, Minnesota, in the thick of the COVID restrictions? None of the restaurants were open in this little small river town in St. Paul. It's about 12 miles from here, thereabouts. And none of the bars and restaurants were open. The hotel was barely functioning. It's an old hotel that has a section of the hotel that still dates back into the 1890s. And while we were there was only one other person that was checked in. We never saw that person or heard them. They were in a room down the hall. But Rainey does massage out of that hotel. And so she got permission to come in and do she brought me there for my birthday. It was my 60th birthday. And she brought me there that night, and then we ghost hunted that night. And we had permission from the management, and we pretty much got run of the place. The bar which has been known to have hauntings take place there, or activity, was closed down. There was no band playing that night. They weren't even serving food that night. And so all of that to re-emphasize just how closed down the place was. And I'm going to play something for you. Get your headset or turn your volume up, because this is something that is buried quite deep in the white noise that you would hear in the background. We were doing the paranormal investigating, and we quit right around 12:30. We'd been going for a few hours. And during that time, Rainey had gotten a psychic vision, you could call it. She is what you might call in mediumship. There is the sentient, clairsentient. She can hear and see and feel the presence of. And she doesn't promote that very much, but she is. And she's also a witch. She is also very psychic. She doesn't practice it, though. So, and I've said that for years, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have the feelings and doesn't know things are happening and things like that. And so she got, when we were in the 1890s section of the hotel, she got a vision of a woman in a long dress whispering in her ear, asking her to ask me to sing a song, to sing the last verse of Loch Lomond. And I told this story very recently. It's still on the tip of my tongue. I don't know if it was here or if it was somewhere else. I just talked about this, but something I want to play for you is a couple of those little recordings from that section. We woke up in the middle of the night after 3 o'clock, and she had heard music playing. Now listen to what she thought was music playing. I heard a voice, and all I had handy was my phone. I picked up my phone and I hit the video record. And what I picked up is what you're going to hear now. I've got a piece of equipment. No, it's our water pipes. We're having a leaky toilet. When you shut that off, it starts rattling against the wall. But there we go. Thank you, Rainey. So take a listen to this. Here's the first one. You're going to see the stream, but it's just a still shot of it. But listen to this now.
Almost sounds like somebody singing in the room.
Okay. There wasn't as much in that one. Now listen to this next one.
What's down in the hallway?
Could you sing louder?
Somebody's playing music somewhere. It's not anybody singing in
Yeah,
here.
what is it? And see, it sounded like music playing, but then it sounded like somebody's humming. Like,
There's like a fiddle. Someone's got a fiddle or a guitar. There's two instruments playing, it sounds like.
One more piece. This one, I think they are more prominent. They're buried way in the background of that hissing. I had to elevate that, and you can hear this. Somebody singing something. Here we go. Let's play this last one.
I hear the one that sounds like a voice. Can you hear it out there?
I can hear it a little bit up there, but I hear it better in here. But there's somebody walking down the stairs or what? It's still playing.
Yeah.
Okay. It was probably very tough for some of you to hear, and um, that was there was singing, and it was very low into the white noise, and you could barely hear it. It was almost like hearing somebody in falsetto way in the background going, and it was so slight. But if you listen close and you got a headset on, you can hear it. I sent that piece without telling somebody what was on that, what we were trying to record, and what we had heard. I sent that out, and they came back and said, "What?" I asked him, "Well, did you hear anything on this piece?" And he said, "I thought I heard like a woman singing a ballad, but I couldn't make out the words." So, hey, over there, Rainey. And so she's just getting ready, I think, to be done for the day. And I see Steve Clark in the call. And oh, you know what? We're already off air. I missed the end of the show here. So we are off air. I've got to turn this off. And it was during all of that I didn't realize I had run us so close to the end of the program. But we are still live over in the chat room on YouTube. And all I did was run us off the live end of the show without playing the end of the show or saying goodnight to the radio audience. But that's okay. And so let me also turn off my audio recording for the show. There we go. I've got that off. And let's bring Steve in as long as he's there. Hey, Steve.
Hey.
How you doing? Good to see you, brother.
Getting ready for a trip to Pennsylvania.
Right on. That's what I saw last night. I think you were talking a little bit about that. What are you doing in Pennsylvania?
Picking up my nephew and bringing him back here for a visit.
All right. When are you leaving on that trip?
Tuesday morning.
Right on. So I wondered what my wife was doing over there. She's exercising over there in the dark with one little lamp in the corner on. So she's doing her things. So shoulder exercises. There it is.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to retire from doing massage.
Yeah. So anyway, what's going on with you, brother? What's happening? Preparing for a trip?
Yeah. It's going to be there and back, and then about the 11th, taking him back.
All right.
Taking him back. He's coming to visit because my baby sister's memorial service was supposed to be the 8th, right, which is actually on the 9th, the day after her birthday. But her son got sick, and they had to go back down to Austin, so it's on hold. But he already had the days off planned, so he's going to come out and visit with the family.
Well, that's good. That's good.
He was all talking about ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
I was raised in a house that was, probably 75 or 100 years old. And this is back in the 50s and 60s, back before they had remote control TVs.
Sure.
And we had a piano, and we had a black and white TV. And I've been in the house alone, and there's even been times when my brother and sisters, my mom was there, and the TV came on by itself.
Yeah.
And shut off by itself. And the piano was not one of these that, you put the scroll in and the plays by itself. Yeah. It was one of those you had to push the keys. We've actually seen the keys and the piano being played.
Wow.
And this house is haunted too. My house was built in 1890. Or part of it was built in 1890.
Yeah.
We live in now. So I've always been raised around haunted houses.
Sure. Well, they say every place is haunted. People are haunted. Buildings can be haunted. And it all just to what level, degree, or how much we attract them, how much they try to get our attention. So we get things always trying to get our attention around here. This house isn't old. This is a side-by-side townhome that we live in. And it's not 15 years old, and I would bet. And although I don't know the year it was built, but we have stuff here all the time, and we're not people to go flighty and go, oh, well, I heard a noise. That means we have a ghost. It's nothing like that. It's the kinds of things that we have tuned into, things that are something trying to get your attention, and whatever's there probably hears me now. Trying to, and I'm getting chills just talking about it. And I'm not frightened or anything like that, but I'm getting chills going all up and down my back and the backs of my arms. That tells me I'm hitting on something, that there's something that might want to, and no offense to whatever entity is here or whoever it is, but we just haven't opened that up into our home yet. I didn't want to attract it and ask it to come, and because I don't know how active I want it to be. See, just like that, chills stopped. Boom, it was gone. So whoever's here, if you hear me, it's not that I don't want to know who you are. It's got to be the right time. So,
well, spirits can be tied to the land as far as that goes, and the house was built on them.
Sure, they can.
Where I was raised was my great grandfather's homestead out here in Kansas, and I got into collecting old coins from finding an 1877 seated Liberty dime out in the field.
Nice, yeah.
So, but my nephew was here with me for a while, and then he moved out because he seen the headless ghost in my pantry.
What's in your pantry? It's a headless ghost. Just set the can of pumpkin next to the headless ghost. So, yeah.
But yeah, objects can be haunted. You can bring stuff in that the spirit was attached to in their lifetime. And it's interesting when you, matter of fact, this was known as the old Robinson place.
Yeah.
That I found out. And my great grandmother's maiden name was Robinson. So I'm doing research to see if it is part of my heritage.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Very interesting. And, I've got so many little bits and bobs and things. I picked up in Egypt and stuff all over. Some of them you're not supposed to be able to take antiquities out of the country, but I don't think I have genuine antiquities, but I got little bits of things, rocks and stuff like that I brought back from Egypt and that I found on the ground. And so it's really interesting. There's so much fakar over there, which is pottery, shards everywhere. And so I probably got a couple of little somethings in there. But yeah, you're right. Things that can be attached to things sometimes.
Well, I don't know if I had told it here on your show, but Teresa DeAnton, I was on her show, and I used to hike around here, and I found a piece of stoneware, and I found a piece and I picked it up, and I seen a girl and a woman get killed, and a man get killed and fall back in the burning cabin.
Oh,
I didn't tell my nephew this, and I handed him the piece. He seen it from another person's view and was picked up by somebody on horseback that had paintings on the side of the horse.
Oh man, that's interesting.
So yeah, objects can contain things.
Yeah.
Because I didn't tell him what I seen. I just said, I want you to hold this, and they hold it, and he got big-eyed, and I go, what's the matter? And he goes, well, I said, you can tell me. I ain't going to say you're crazy. But he seen the guy fall back into the burning cabin, but it was from evidently where he was standing was where he couldn't see the little girl and woman get killed. But someone on horseback and they described the painting that was on the horse. And it was water and the sun painted on the horse.
Wow. That's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. But, well, I'll let you get back to the show, but I wanted to share.
Cool. Well, thank you for calling in, brother. And if we don't talk to you much before then, you have a good trip on Tuesday. Safe trip. And we'll probably see you in here, though. So, all right. Have a good night, brother. All right, guys. That's as easy as it is. You can call in and tell your ghost story. And so, there you go. Anybody else? Anybody else want to call in and share your story? Michelle Canham Free, you want to call in? Give us a good ghosty story. We're already over time and past time for the show, so I'm not going to get back into the anthropological article. We'll do that another time. See, we made it through 2 points, and that was it. So, what are you doing, Tiny? What are you up to? Isn't it bedtime? It's 10 o'clock. It's after 10 o'clock.
It's also called It's the Weekend.
Yeah. So the weekend means little girls get to stay up really late?
Yeah.
For what purpose?
Because I have volleyball tomorrow and I can do whatever I want.
Well, why don't you go to bed and get
I
some
get
good
to go to the
sleep
game.
so you're not tired for
You're not
volleyball?
coming, Ellery.
Mom says I'm coming.
You're not coming.
Mom says I'm
No,
coming.
you're not.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
It's my game, and no, you're not.
Oh my god, I hate kids.
Me too. Hey, Ro, don't do that. Okay, get up. You're fine.
At your game now, jerk.
There it is. It's the way things go around here. There you go, folks. I'm glad we're not on air yet. We're still over here in the Hayfield guy. Middle human? Who's middle human? Hey, Dave Potter. Dave Potter, it says link. Hey, I'll put it in here again into the chat room. If you came in late, you might not have seen it. There you go, Dave Potter. There is the link. Well, it's taken long enough to paste in. Wow. Is that the kind of lag we have here? I guess. Whew. Michelle Canham-Free has 0 paranormal stories to regale us with. So that's too bad. I'll bet you have some. Oh, you call Ro middle human. Oh, yes. Yeah, that makes sense. So they've all gone off to bed now, and Rainey took them in there. So hopefully she keeps them in there. So here's Dave Potter.
Hey.
Hello, Uncle Dave.
How are you guys?
How you doing? Doing just fine.
How
you doing?
Tell Ellery not to be a Karen. I hear that. She throws herself on the ground and then starts screaming.
That was Ellery. Well, Rowan walked by her after they were standing here, slapped her on the back. I don't know if you heard the big crack.
Yeah.
My kids do that. It's like, who taught you to be violent? I'll beat you if you keep that up. So she slapped her, and of course, it's Ellery's job to be over dramatic about everything.
Like those Karen videos where the Karen throws herself on the pavement and then, oh, you shoved me, you broke my hip.
You shoved me. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
What's the best way to do this?
So
that is
ghost stories. I should really save this for October,
I know you've got a ton of them.
Do you have a favorite?
Of yours?
Yeah.
We have a lot of favorites of yours. I'd like to hear something. I know you've had a lot of experiences in like the Masonic halls when you're there late painting or doing something, and you've run into things. It was the old Braden Lodge. I think had a lot of.
I'm the master of Braden Lodge, and we are currently renting from Arcana Lodge, but we previously rented from St. Paul III at the Triune Temple, and that temple is seriously haunted. In fact, we're going to try and do, coming up in October, I've got to reach out to the current master over there. We would like to go over there on our lodge night in October when we get closer to Halloween and do an all-night vigil so
That'd be very cool.
The young brothers have heard all the stories of the hauntings, and I'd like some of them to experience that.
I'd like to come for that.
Oh yeah, I'd totally have you. I'd like to get Sarah to come back. Sarah came over and did a mediumship, and it was very interesting that night because they kept picking up on stuff and picked up on several of the spirits that regularly stay within the building.
Rainey would be a good person to get.
Yeah.
You know what Rainey is like, and Rainey does not like to put out there that she's got all this, but you know what she's like when you're around her.
When you were playing those EVPs, I was thinking, the ones from the Palmer house were so much better.
Mm-hmm.
They were so much clearer. There was all kinds of stuff and we were using was it a Vox?
Probably the Frank's box. We either the Frank's box
or the Hack Shack or whatever they called it.
This was just recorded on my phone because we heard the singing, and that's all we could pick up. So,
yeah. So, trying to think of a great one from. So, I get there early to Triune. And at the time I was cooking all the meals. So I stopped in there early in the afternoon, turned lights on, went to the grocery store to pick up some things, came back, and a gentleman was standing outside waiting for us. And Bobby was a colonel in the Air Force. He's a no-nonsense guy.
Yeah.
He's a very matter-of-fact guy, and definitely what I would call a skeptic, a true skeptic, not a naysayer. But one that isn't quick to jump in and say, "I saw this." And when he does say, "I saw this," it's like, you tell me what I saw, because I don't understand that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you done seen a ghost, boy.
You done seen a ghost, boy.
He was standing there, got up there, the lights were on, pulled on the door, it's locked. Rattles the door a little, knocks on the door, sees a brother come around the landing on the second floor, start down the stairs, head straight to the door, then turn and walk through the wall. And he said he was as solid and plain as day when he came down the stairs, and then he just went through the wall. I looked at him and I said, well, that is weird, because that has never been a door. That has always been a wall. So I don't get that. I understand when ghosts will like walk down a hallway and turn and go through a wall, and then you research. So I used to be a night security at a warehouse building, and saw things on the third floor all the time. And during the Second World War, it was a boot factory. And the hallways that we had in the warehouse in the 1990s, I guess it would have been, were different than the hallways that were there in the 1940s. They had, how they take down interior walls and restructure things as businesses change throughout there. So I totally understand that when you see something walking down the hallway and it turns and goes through a wall that used to be a continuation of a hallway, or it was a doorway into another space or whatever before it was drywalled up to make space for somebody else. So those things make sense. When something walks down the stairs, turns on the landing, and doesn't continue down the stairs but goes through a wall halfway between the floors, I don't understand that either. But it was as plain as day, he said. I used to experience something in the kitchen. There was an entity that stayed in the kitchen or the pantry room off the kitchen, and sometimes in the boiler room that was off the pantry. And when I went in the boiler room, I would get that uneasy feeling like I'm not supposed to be in here. But in the kitchen, I never had a problem, but other brothers would come in to help in the kitchen, and they would leave. And I'm like, I thought you were going to help. Yeah, something doesn't want me in here. I'm getting really negative vibes. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Keep talking for a second.
Oh, just keep talking. Oh, okay. I can't hear you. But anyways.
Sorry, I muted the mic. Yeah, just keep talking. I got to go take care of something over here. Hold on.
Oh, sure.
You keep going. You have the con.
Okay. So I'm talking to an older brother from the Triune Temple, and they had a brother named Ernie, who was a Navy cook, who, when he joined the lodge, took over the kitchen, and that kitchen was Ernie's kitchen. You didn't go in Ernie's kitchen unless Ernie invited you in. And the brother said that was the attitude. He would throw stuff at you if you went in the kitchen, and without his permission. And I'm like, well, I never got that feeling. He's like, but you're our new Ernie. You've taken over this kitchen. You're a professional chef. And he said, I think Ernie feels you're a kindred spirit. He doesn't have a problem with you being in here. And I said, well, he doesn't like me being in the boiler room. And he goes, yeah, you shouldn't be in the boiler room. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but it's weird. But yeah, lots of brothers would pick up on that. I'm going to tell you, so stepping outside the lodge, when we did the Palmer House, up until then, I would sense.
I remember that.
Okay. I never saw ghosts, but I could sense their presence and I could pick up on emotional things. I'm very empathic.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying at the Palmer House, and we were there with who was the Lee, the English guy? His name was Lee, wasn't he?
Lee, the English guy?
So we were there
we were at the Palmer House?
Palmer House with Dave Schrader and with oh, she's gonna kill me for not being for blanking on her name.
Who the heck was the English guy? Oh, I know who you're talking about. Used to be married to Lisa.
Lisa, okay. She's gonna kill me for blanking on her name.
We don't talk about him. So.
Okay, but so he was there. Lisa was there. I'm trying to think who else. Wasn't there somebody else that was a medium?
There was Tiffany Johnson, I believe.
And Rainey was with us.
Rainey was with us.
Okay. Yep. So I have Lisa on camera.
Schrader one. I don't know if she was at the Schrader one. I know what you're talking about. Wasn't this when we were doing filming?
Yeah, for Dead Reckoning.
There. This was not an event. There was an event. We were there with a lot of those people.
And
so, yeah, Rainey was.
I have all the raw footage from this still. And so I'm there in the capacity as director. I'm not there to be on camera, and I'm trying to hold my tongue. We're talking with an entity in the basement named Seth. And Lisa is asking all these questions. She's on camera. And literally it's as if somebody grabs her ponytail and pulls it straight out. And you can see on camera, her hair is just laying there. All of a sudden her hair goes straight out behind her and literally she's pulled off her feet. And there was nothing there with her.
She was getting whisperings in her ears.
Oh, yeah.
Weekend. A male, you're my bitch or something like that. Whispering in her things like that.
That's the one where Seth kept calling all the women whores.
Yep.
And so you're all on camera and you're like, why are you calling the girls whores? Do they remind you of the girls that worked upstairs? No, the voice would come back. And it's like, no. Well, is it because of this? Is it because they're going through all these things? And I'm looking at both the girls were wearing jeans. And I said, I finally just couldn't hold it in any longer. I couldn't get you guys to ask the right question. And I just said from behind the camera, Seth, are you calling them whores because they're wearing jeans? Of course. And everybody looks at me and I'm like, 1800s, women would not be seen in public in pants.
There was also with that same character, Seth, we were back in the door room, down in the basement, the room with all the doors stacked up. And we were getting interactive EVPs we were getting. And we didn't have a spirit box with us, just EVPs. And he was saying nasty things to us. He was saying, I'll kill you and things like that. And I got a little pissy about that. I don't like that. It's like if a ghost is going to say something like that to me, I'm going to challenge him.
I did too. So the next day we were interviewing, Dave Schrader was interviewing a psychic that was with us. So they're doing an interview type thing. They're set up in the door room. Okay. Yep. The only place I can get them in a 2-shot is for me to go all the way to the back corner of that door room and stand in there with the camera so I get a decent shot. And they start the interview. They're asking these questions. And all of a sudden, the woman stops. And she goes, I have to stop. There's a little boy named Tommy here. Tommy is concerned about David. And Schrader's like, concerned about me? No. David, the director. And Schrader looks at me and goes, again, from behind the camera, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fine, Tommy. You guys just go on. Ignore it. And he's like, no. She says, Tommy is the son of the evil entity that's here.
Oh.
And she says, he's very terrified that his dad's going to do something to David. He does not want David standing where he's standing. And I said, well, I have to stand here in order to get the shot. So you don't need to worry about it. And your dad, he can't do anything.
Yeah.
And, which is like, I'm going to poke this bear over here. Are you sleeping? Bear?
Yep. Well, we had in that same room, we were getting voices on the box threatening us.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, who do you think you are that you can threaten us? And he said, Seth. And in typical, recorded response. And I said, well, Seth, what gives you the right to threaten us and tell us you want to kill us? And then he very sheepishly went, it sounded sheepish. He goes,
yeah,
I'm Lutheran. I'm Lutheran. And we go, oh, you're Lutheran? Yes. Oh, okay. Well, it didn't explain anything, but it was like, you can't threaten us. Okay.
Well,
and
I'm Lutheran. This went on for several minutes, this exchange, and I finally felt this icy cold hand in the middle of my back and a face that felt like there was a face right up against my ear, right? And I just turned my head right to this face and I said, I am bathed. No, I said, I am bathed in the white light of peace and you can't touch me. And the hand instantly went away from my back and stuff. And you have to stand your ground. I'm not one of these guys that believes in the provoking of these spirits. When you go into a space, don't provoke them. Don't threaten them, but stand your ground.
When I was asking, I wasn't provoking them. When I was asking them, well, what gives you the right? Why do you think you have the right to threaten me?
Yeah. And, but I'm like, when I watch these ghost adventures and stuff, and they go in there and they're screaming at the ghost, and I'm like, that is no way to. You're not going to get what you want by doing that.
I don't know how long's it been since you've seen that show. By the way, they're getting darker and darker with the.
Yes, they are. They are. Why? I think he attracts a darkness to him.
I think he does.
I
Rapid Dog says Seth is Luciferian. I think there's probably Rapid Dog. I would say, not to just counter your point, I'd say there's probably more than one Seth out there. I would think. And when you're picking up Seth, is it the Seth?
Yeah. No, I think this was just Seth would have been a very common name in the Midwest in that time period. Also from the Palmer House. So you guys were down on the first floor. I went up on the second floor, took photographs of all the rooms that we were going to be visiting, walked in, said, hi, I'm Dave. I'm here with a group, blah, 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 taking pictures and stuff. So then later you guys are surrounding the bed up in the room where the girl had killed herself. And you've got the voice thing on the bed and everyone's crowded in around the bed and she's talking and it's clearly a woman's voice and you're asking questions and you're getting direct answers to your questions and everything. And I had been downstairs talking to the manager about the manager at that time, and she had some of his business cards, and so I knew what his name was, and we talked about who he was as a man. So then I come back upstairs. You guys are in the middle of conversation. My other cameraman is covering the footage, and I come walking in. And when you walk through the door, there's sort of a hallway to get to the rest of the room. And off of that hallway is a closet and the bathroom. So that's why there's this long entranceway. And I hear the voice as I step through the door go, Dave's here, in this very lilting woman's voice. And Scotty's like, no, Dave's not here because you can't see me yet from where I'm at. And I'm like, yes, I am.
Dave peeks around the corner and goes, I'm here.
It was very bizarre, but that was an interesting day.
It was fun.
Too.
It was actually kind of fun. So
And that's also where I asked that entity. I said, "What is the name such and such?" The manager, I don't remember what it was, and I said, "What does that mean to you?" She answered right back, "Boss." And what was he like? Sex, 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 sex.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. Yes. This just made me think of there was a woman I dated a long time ago before Rainey and I were together. You remember Lindsay? And Lindsay lived in a little. What's that?
Sex, 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 sex,
sex, sex, sex, sex. Yeah. Let's move on from that point. But she lived in a little building off of Loring Park in Minneapolis. And folks, for context, Leslie, if you're still out there, you may know Loring Park in Minneapolis. If anybody here from Minneapolis, but think of New York City, Minneapolis, Central Park, Loring Park. And so Loring Park was a little park with a lake. I don't know how many acres, maybe 10 acres. And old buildings around an old part of Minneapolis. And the building she was in a little brick apartment building, was an old hotel. And you could walk in, and she was all the way down at the end of the, you'd walk in and go up a few stairs. She was on that main floor and all the way to the back. And everything was dark maroon colors and dark wood and little globe lamps at every door, but they were very yellowy light, dim. And you look down that hall and you go, man.
Dark wood stain on everything.
Yep. And so I had Abby and Bryn with me once, and they would have been about 10 years old, maybe 11. And they walked down that hallway. We were going to pick something up with Lindsay. We had to stop back at her apartment. And Bryn, I think it was Bryn, it might have been Abby, now I forget, turn and they look at the hallway, and she goes, "This hallway is full of people." And I said, "You mean apartments?" "No, there's all kinds of people here." And Lindsay would get that all the time. And so that was just a little anecdotal story. One of my own kids would see some of that stuff.
Well, they saw the boy in the basement when you guys lived on.
At the
Portland?
ranch.
Oh,
that was
well, there too. But no, the one their house that had the well in it.
That one, the big haunted house. Yeah, the big house on.
Was it on Portland? I think it was on Portland.
Portland Avenue. Yep.
Yeah.
That was the house. We had like an acre of land in the city, super busy inner city suburb, and super busy street. And we had an acre, and we were set way back off the street. There was like 26 old growth trees in the front yard, and bit in the back, and that house was haunted. When we moved out of that house,
the Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard pictures.
Oh, that reminds me of that story.
Scotty had in his kitchen 3 little cameos: Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, and Catherine Howard. And
they were framed, very gilded framed.
Yeah, little oval cameos, as they would have called them in the 1500s. And they sat on a shelf above the sink. And Scott comes to me one day, and he's talking. We're in the kitchen. He's like, "See those pictures? They move around on their own." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh yeah. Henry will sometimes be way over on the side. Sometimes he's got his back to them. Sometimes the girls are over on the side, like they're talking about him." And he's going on and on. And what I didn't tell him is, for weeks I had been, because he never locked the back door. The back door was open for friends, because that's who Scotty is. And I would be driving by, and I would stop and know he's not there because the car's gone. I would walk around to the back, come in and rearrange the pictures and leave.
He would.
And I did it for weeks.
I had an open door policy back then. I let all my friends know, if you need a place to crash, if you need food, if you need anything, just come in the back door off the patio. If we're not here, come on in and help yourself. If you need to crash. And so, so Dave would take advantage of that to shift my pictures all around. You weren't the one that shoved the rubber bands in the toes of my shoes, were you?
No.
No, you couldn't have.
No.
You've all heard that story. In that same house, I had lots of activity there. That's where Amanda was spending a lot of time over there at the time. A friend of ours, mutual friend.
That's where the bathroom drawers. So there was
that was Rainey with the bathroom
right.
drawers.
But they would pull out by themselves. So you have to picture you've got a built-in vanity, and the door swung in from right to left.
Yep.
And on the right-hand side was this vanity. So if the drawers were pulled, if the drawers were pulled out, you couldn't open that door, but like a couple inches. And then you had to sit there and fiddle to get those drawers to go back in. And the drawers were the kind you had to lift and pull, so they couldn't roll on their own.
Here's the thing. It was an old house, but they had redone the vanity there and redone that bathroom. And it was newer. Those drawers could not roll open. And all of a sudden,
you had to
can't
lift
get
them
into the
and
bathroom.
pull.
They would have to be there, and they had a little bit of a spring load. You'd pull the drawer out about an inch and let go, and it would spring back in. And so you had to pull it way out to keep it open. And so we would, on regular occasions,
and it would only happen when the bathroom was empty. It would only happen when the bathroom was empty.
Never happened when somebody was in there. We would find the cats locked up in that bathroom with all the drawers out, so you couldn't open the door. So how'd the cats?
And no way that they could have pulled them out.
And the door was open. It just was only open about an inch. There was no way to open it because the drawers were blocking it. So we had that happen all the time. And that was Rainey's shower experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rainey goes in to take a shower one day and comes out, and there's little handprints, toddler-sized handprints in the mirror. Now, Sam was about that age. He was 4, I think, at the time, but he wasn't around.
Yeah.
I think he was with his mom that weekend. And
hey, USA, are you a real person, or are you coming and show me your face, or you're gone?
Yeah, by the way.
Goodbye. All right. So all right, go ahead, Dave.
So it dawned on me after the story of the handprints in the mirror in the steam that pulling the drawers out like that would make a staircase. Little toddlers, little kids will do that, pull drawers out so they can climb up on things. I used to do that all the time with my dresser when I was little. Pull the bottom drawer out so far and the next drawer out less, and use it so I could climb up to get to the top of the dresser. And so I think that entity was using it to get up onto the vanity.
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy Rizzo, by the way, who is USA is best? You're hanging out there in the wing. Are you a member of the channel? Type something over in the chat room. Let us know what you're all about. Before I let you know, I don't recognize you. Hate to be that way. USA is best, but we've had plenty of people that have tried to sneak in here and then do stupid stuff on air. I'm not afraid of it. I just don't like to share that and give them the time. So Jimmy Rizzo, that's you backstage, Jimmy? If that's you, I'll bring you in. So sorry about that, Dave. Not to interrupt your story.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, there you go.
So where I was going earlier when I was talking about not seeing ghosts. So when we were at the Palmer house, I made the statement of not seeing ghosts. For the week following, I was seeing dead people everywhere. And nice. It reminded me the Brit that was with us, he said, "Oh, you should never say that." Because he goes,
That's somebody I don't give airtime to. He's somebody I don't mention his name.
I don't even remember what it was,
but I know the Brit.
He was like, "Oh yeah, you don't want to say that. You don't want to do that because you're giving them license to show themselves to you." And I'm like, "Well, good, because just knowing that they're here is not enough for me. I want to see them."
Right, right.
But that was so following that, I was downtown Minneapolis, pouring down rain, and I see somebody walking across so I'm on a T intersection, and across the street is a sidewalk that just goes all the way across. It's a bunch of townhouses with fences in front of them. So there's no way to enter these townhouses off this sidewalk. Okay. And I see this person. I'm looking both ways. As I'm looking to the left, I see this person walking hunched over into the rain, pushing through the rain. I can see them clearly. And as I come back around and look to the right, I look the road there. And when I turn my head back, there is nobody on that sidewalk for as far as I can see. And I can see 2 or 3 blocks. And I'm like, where'd that person go? They were there. They were clearly crossing in front of me. And then they were just gone. And then the next day, I'm in another part of town and I see this old man, cowboy boots, boot cut Wrangler type pants, cowboy hat, and all this, followed by a little tow-headed kid. Kind of reminded me of the kind of outfit that Ron Howard wore in Mayberry, with the jeans with the cuffs rolled up and the Ked type sneakers and such, and the pants were maybe just a little bit shorter than they probably should have been, but they're rolled up, and he's following directly behind this cowboy. Okay. And I see him coming down the sidewalk. They're going to turn at the intersection there, and they're going to cross the crosswalk, and I'm watching them. I look the traffic this way. When I come back, there's no little kid. And when I saw him first, I got to take this back. The cowboy was a young man, maybe in his early 30s, with the kid. When I turn back, the cowboy is an 80-year-old man, roughly dressed the same, still wearing cowboy boots and blue jeans and such, but he's clearly an old man, and there's no little kid with him. So what did I see? Did I see a man and his little kid, and then see the man as an elderly man now? Did I see him as a child following himself? What did
I mean,
what do you got? Is it USA is best? Are you Jimmy?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, shit, there we go. All right.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing quite okay. I just wish to follow what people are saying.
Yes.
And I don't like people to sort of surmise like I'm a troll, what you did, Scotty. And unfortunately, a lot of people come into people's rooms and troll, and it's
they do.
Nice. And this is why Scotty is very careful upon the people he brings up on his stage, which I agree with.
Well, I'm glad you stuck around, because I'm not scared of trolls, nothing like that. It's more, I've had enough people try to come on the show. I don't know who they are, and they do stupid stuff. And it's like, I just act preemptively nowadays. I actually have a setting that says if you're not subscribed to this channel, you can't actually come on air. So,
by the way, that Scotty, me and you could maybe make mincemeat of these type of people. By the way, that Dave, unfortunately, I do not agree with anything you have been saying tonight and here.
Okay.
Listen.
What specifically? Grab a topic and talk about it.
Yeah,
what's on your mind?
I don't believe in Jesus Christ. I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
I do not believe in God. And people.
Well, I didn't say anything about Jesus tonight, but what specifically
Scotty,
tonight?
Scotty, you seem to have some sort of thing, whereas anything I say, you keep talking over the top of me, which I think is rather rude, don't you?
Well, it's my show, first of all. But secondly, I've known you all of about a minute, so we haven't had that much conversation. Listen. I'm just challenging you. If you've got something you found disagreeable, why don't you let me know what it is? Let's talk about it.
Scotty, listen, right? It's not about me challenging you or you challenging me. I just wanted to come up with a reasonable answer to why Mr. Dave Potter would be talking about the things he's talking about, which is not real and which is not reality, when Jesus Christ, God, do not exist. Okay, that's all.
Okay. Well, that's a fair question. He's talking about it. I can answer this part. He's talking about it because I asked him in to talk about it. But Dave, what's your take on that?
Scotty, listen, right?
It's very much like coming over to somebody's house and complaining about the color of their drapes.
That you're above anybody else, Mr. Scotty, because you are not above me or anybody else. You know why? Because
I'm not what? I'm not what of you? Did you say not the
not
boss
above
of you or something?
You're not above him.
Oh, above
You're
you.
not above him.
No, I'm not above you. I'm not above anybody.
Come on to reason with people and talk about real things. But unfortunately, on your show there, Mr. Scotty, you have a person called Dave Potter, and that person thinks he's always right in what he is saying and talking about. Unfortunately, Mr. Dave Potter, I do not believe in anything what you say because everything you've been saying to people.
I will tell you this, Jimmy, is that I have known Dave Potter about 30 years longer than I've known you.
May I just finish what I was talking about, please, Mr. Scott?
I thought you had finished. That's why I interjected.
You interrupted me.
Well, you know what? We've got a little lag between us, so that could cause some of the interrupting. All I'm saying is that as far as adding to what you're saying, I've known Dave Potter about 30 years longer than I've known you. So I trust the things he has to say.
Listen, I have and trust in everybody with a little bit of respect. I like to respect the people I'm talking to. But unfortunately, Mr. Dave Potter wants to believe in like ghosts and things that are not real and things that are not tangible.
All I know is what I've experienced and caught on film.
Hang on there, David. Don't be upset. But unfortunately, Mr. Scotty.
He's not upset.
Hey, Scotty, listen, right? I do give people the benefit of the doubt, but unfortunately, Scotty, before I go, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
Please let other people have a say in what you're saying and talking about without, unfortunately, you thinking that, and that's your sure, please give people a shout and a steer in which the things you believe in, because sure is your sure there, Mr. Scotty. And this is the reason why people come to your show. They're merely you.
Well, here's the thing with that is that I don't talk so much about things I believe in. I don't talk about what I believe in. I talk about things that I've experienced.
Mr. Scotty, can I finish off what I was saying? Please do not people back. Okay? Because real people may want to come on and talk to you. And by the way there, Mr. Dave Potter, unfortunately, you have been talking shit all night. Bye-bye.
Well, qualify that. Qualify that.
I will not
qualify that.
Bye-bye, losers. By the way,
that's it. Mic drop. Mic drops are invalid. Say what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Jimmy, if you want to come back on and say what you want to say, you don't lay down a mic drop on somebody that's talking on my program and walk away. Last time somebody did that to me, it was my alcoholic ex-wife. So if you're going to say something and walk away and not allow a response, I'm sorry.
Well, and here's what I have to say, and I say this to all atheists. When you cross over, you're in for a big surprise.
There it is. And of course, none of us can prove that. It's a belief system.
I know what I know since I was 10 years old. And I have a firm belief in the other side. And our conscience leaves with our soul, and you can travel anywhere in a thought. And I don't believe in heaven and hell. The other side is not like that. But you will continue on. We are all beings of light and energy, and we come down here and we wear the meat suits and we learn things, and then we cross over and go home. And the atheists that I know, and I know quite a few, they're in for a big surprise when they cross over.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I've talked with atheists before. I'm not an atheist. I have a lot of questions though. I'm an agnostic right now. I'm about as agnostic as you can be, because I don't know a damn thing. So, by the way, what do you think of that last caller we have? What'd you get? I know you were already examining that accent.
I was, and and initially I thought it was Scottish, but
I thought
don't
it was
think
Irish at first.
Well, I'm wondering if it's not a Welsh or God, there's almost a hint of Yorkshire in there too.
Yeah, it almost had to me a feel of somebody from Germany who grew up in Wales and learned to speak English by a Scottish school teacher. So
well, I think in any case it's a whiskey fueled accent. So
yeah, there it is. Yeah, that was definitely a whiskey fueled accent. And I will say for the record to the whole chat room out there and anybody out there, if you come on the show and you want to talk, don't do mic drops. I don't do mic drops.
Well,
I don't do Div Potter. I so wanted every time he said that, I wanted to go Harry Potter. But so Dave Potter, what you're saying is full of shit, and then hang up.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, I don't put a lot of stock in what you say.
I look at when you come into somebody's show and just start ripping them apart. That's like going over to their house and complaining about the color of their furniture or whatever.
Yeah,
you have a velvet couch. I hate the velvet couch. What kind of wussy are you? Why don't you have a leather couch like a real man?
Yeah. And it's like, well, hey, you came over.
Yeah.
You were listening.
You can leave.
Came over. So you called in. So if you want to just call in and be a wanker, then you won't last long on here. I tried to give him some time though to make his point, and he never did really quite make it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he did. Dave Potter, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
There it is.
Just speaking from personal experience, baby.
That's it. That's it. Michelle Canham Free said, I was saying Harry Potter. She spelled out the phonetic accent there. So it's not that I don't want you to come back. Jimmy Buffett, USA is best. Whatever your name was, Jimmy Rizzo, he put his name down as. You can come back anytime. Just behave. So
I did a film out east about the Pequot Wars back. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I want to say that
95
was 95
to 2000, like right in there.
Yeah. And so there was a ton of Native American actors, and I met some really, really cool people. There was this great actor, Flint Eagle, who's from Canada, a Mohican that was down and was playing a major part. But there was a guy from AIM that was there, and he was the most racist person I think I'd ever met, and was going on and on. He'd get these young Native men to gather up around him and tell them how there was no war in America before white man came, and there was no slavery in America, and the other Native elders were like, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. We were raiding each other constantly and taking people as slaves from one tribe to another, and just all like guy's full of all this hate, and none of what he is saying is true, right? And meanwhile, of the reenactors that came in to play the English in this war, there was a group from down south, and the guy who was, well, he wasn't playing Charles Stewart in the film, but he looked like Charles Stewart, and back home in the English Civil War reenactment stuff,
the king come over the water.
Yeah, and so envision somebody who's very much like Charles Stewart looking, with the long curly hair.
I bet they all came up to you and said, "Hi, we're your Scottish contingent."
Yeah, well, we were there as a group from Clan Tartan, and within Clan Tartan, we often just refer to it as Clan, and CLANN.
Yep.
And so we were having a conversation, and he came up to our group and he goes, I did not know we had members of the Klan as far north as Minnesota. And I looked at him and I said, oh, you're mistaken. We're CLANN, Clan Tartan. We're a Scottish reenactment group, not a bunch of white racist bastards.
There it is.
And put him on his ear, and he left, right? Well, later in the day, we were sitting having lunch, and the guy from AIM was starting to spout his BS, and I saw this guy over with a bunch of young white men.
You introduced them.
And I said to the guy from AIM, I said, have you met Charles over? You need to come over and meet. You should talk.
You should talk. You two will be like this.
And they got into each other's faces and just started spewing hate at each other to the point where they kind of drifted off from the group so they could just open. And one of the elders came over and he's like, you are a very wise man.
Nice.
Saved all of us a lot of headache, and just like, here, you bastards, you just go over there and spute your hate at each other. We don't need to hear it.
There it is. So now that's funny. That's comical.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know we had a chapter up north as far as Minnesota. Yeah, I could hear it.
Oh my God.
So, by the way, the 13 people left in the chat room, that doesn't necessarily represent anybody else who might be listening without being in the chat room. If you want to go over, the Kickstarter is over, but we've got a new website.
Give money.
Give money. Give money.
Go
Give
to the
me your
website,
dollars.
push the button, pay the money.
God wants you to dig deep. And so
you can read historical fiction. You should give the money.
Give the money. And you just go to theswordintheclay.com. Theswordintheclay.com.
That is the worst place to leave a sword. It will rust out. Do not leave your swords in clay, people.
It was
Wipe
pretty,
your swords down. Don't touch the blades.
Pretty mangled up. I actually have a picture of it. I'm curious. I wonder if we can share our screen now. Let's find out. Let's see. Boom. Yes, we can. Let's go over here. I'll show you some.
You know, folks, if you want to buy reliquary that looks like it, like this sword that came out of the clay, Arms and Armor does custom pieces.
Yes.
Which they will age and stuff to give it that museum look, like, hey, this was found at some archaeological site.
Here,
and they're
if you can see this,
they're beautiful.
If you can see that image right there, Dave, that is actually the sword. Hold on, I want to get the screen mode to preview. There, that's the actual sword right there.
Yeah.
And that is a picture, and I brought it in and I put some filters on it in Photoshop. But that's the sword that Will Bird found, with superimposed over it, of course, is the Roman gladius up on top. And so that's the kind of sword he found. It's sitting in an angle, this picture.
Which I'm not sure is Roman, in my personal opinion.
Oh, well, they had all these experts say it was a Roman gladius. And
it's the crossguard that messes with my head there.
It's not a crossguard. It's actually not a crossguard. It is a piece of metal that wrapped around the pommel or the
wire?
Yep.
A wire wrap?
It's like a wire wrap around this. And you see the metal strip here? It was something like that, maybe a little wider. You can see here. And of course, I put filters on this and did stuff for it to put it into the book. But this right here, this wasn't a cross guard. And you can kind of see it there, how it wraps around.
Because when I looked at it, I thought that was some sort of a cross guard. And I'm like, yeah, they wouldn't have had a cross guard.
Yeah, it was a piece of twisted metal. And a lot of all the wood is rotted away on here that would have looked, well.
I wonder if it was something left over from the harness.
Might be. So that's it. That was the piece. That's on one of the pages, the epilogue of the book. So that's the sword he found. And you can find pictures of it. You can just go online and find pictures of the sword in the Halifax Museum up there. So,
yeah, that's a very interesting story.
There we go. It's a very interesting story, I think. So, anyway, not on the up and up, clearly. Oh, talking about something else. So, doesn't look too gladius, as the gladius was a stabbing sword the Romans used. Yeah, it's a gladius. It's just it's corroded away into almost nothing. 2,000 years in the mud.
Yeah, that's why you don't do that. Don't leave your sword in the clay, dude. It's not good.
Yeah.
So, and don't leave blood on a blade. It eats into the steel.
It does.
Turns it black. I know that.
Let's see. Not stop cam. I want to stop the share.
Your dad made me a beautiful dirk, and Bill Larkin cut his hand on it, and I left the blood on it because it was Bill Larkin's blood.
Yeah.
And over the years, it has turned that section black and pitted it.
Nice.
Somebody's like, "What happened to this dagger?" I said, "It's not a dagger; it's a dirk, and that's Bill Larkin's blood."
I had a shirt that I was stabbed with on stage at the Iowa Renaissance Festival. Rob Lane, an old friend of mine, stabbed me on stage
and gave you a rosy red wreath.
And yes, he did. And my whole sleeve was blood. There was blood over here, and there was a hole in the sleeve, and he ran it up my arm. And I kept that. I was just going to keep it bloodied. I wasn't going to wash it. I was going to put it in a bag and, do whatever I had to do with it later on. And about a year later, somebody ran that through the wash machine and go, "Oh, I had to bleach that thing to get the blood out of it." And I'm like, "No, you didn't."
Yeah, I think that. So it was common to wear the large puffy sleeve, and leather sleeves with little slashes in them, and these and swordsmen do not go together. I have had numerous times where my arms have been cut because the sleeve either caught the blade or the little slashing caught the blade and forced that, instead of deflecting away, force that blade down into my arm. And so I've had numerous cuts and such on my arms because of the damn sleeves. It's
Yep. I have, and I think I have it here. I saw what, let's see, Iowa. I want to see if it's in here. Old Iowan. Nope. I don't think it's going to. Oh, here it is. All right. I'm going to share my screen one more time. You'll like this, Dave. It's a small picture because it was taken on a little inky dinky in 1995 or 6 on a little if I can find there it is, my tools.
Okay. Motorola Razor,
something like that. A 1.2 megapixel picture. So here, folks, I'm going to share this picture with you.
It's not so much a picture as a mosaic.
Yeah, it's a little mosaic. Here we go. Let's grab that, share it. And I'm going to go over here to Photoshop. Okay, you see that picture?
Oh yeah, that's you and Rob.
That's me on the left and Rob on the right. Now, he was practicing with his two-handed claymore, which was stage blunted and all of that. I was using my German rapier, which is hanging on the wall behind me here. And unbeknownst to me, and a cardinal sin of stage combat. Now, we were behind the scenes here. See, way down here in the lower left corner, you can see a rope. That was a tent that was there. We were out behind the tents here, and we were practicing. And this scene we were going to do. unbeknownst to me, Rob had let some guy said, "Here, use my sword. It's really cool." And he took this guy's sword onto the stage, but that sword was razor sharp. It was for killing. And you can see the kind of shirt I'm wearing, a lot like the one Rob's wearing here. And I had rapier dagger, and I was parrying him away with the rapier and the dagger. And he did some kind of riposte really quickly and ran that blade right up into my arm. Not straight into my arm. We ran it at a nice diagonal into my arm. It was about
a nice good cut. Yeah.
About a half an hour after this photograph was taken. So there you go. That's all that was about.
I was doing a demonstration at one of our events. Audience is lined up. I'm doing a sword demonstration. I have one of my students, and I'm kind of walking him through cuts and parries, and I'm more focused on explaining to the audience what I'm doing than on the student who's throwing steel at me.
Oh boy.
Okay. And I'm doing what is a parry in two, so I am crossing my body from left to right, and I'm going to catch his blade. And normally I would catch and extend. No, lower two would be low body. And so normally you would catch the blade and push it away from you. Okay, extend your arm at a 45-degree angle and push that blade away. And because I was talking, I caught the blade but didn't extend my arm and really push it away. And he was still thrusting forward. Well, what he did, because I'm dressed in the clothing of the mid-1600s, I have large puffy cavalier pants on with buttons down the side. And it caught the fabric where the leather edge was down the center of the leg where the buttons and everything were. Caught that fabric just where the leather and the fabric join, and created just enough ridge that the tip of his sword went right through the fabric and into my leg. And I hadn't pushed far enough away to protect my leg. And totally my fault, because I was distracted talking to the audience. Stopped, looked at him, told him not to move his hand, reached down, extracted the blade from my leg, chastised him by saying, "Never poke your instructor," not good form. The audience kind of chuckled, and it was just above my boot top, and so it went in right. There's a tendon there at the top of your knee joint on the back side, and it went into that soft tissue there between the tendon and the muscle. And maybe a half inch, quarter inch. And so at the time, I'm just talking. I continue to do the lecture, finish that up. We go through the rest of the sword stuff, and I walk off, and I go over to the cook's tent, and I can feel blood pouring down my leg into my boot and stuff. But I'm not freaking anybody out, because that's not the first time I've been poked. It's not very deep. I'm not really freaked out by it. And I go into the cook's tent, and Renee is in there, and I'm casually unbuttoning the side of my pants so I can open them up and take a look at my leg. And I said, "Do you have a clean rag?" And she says, "I do have a clean rag." And so she opens a box and gets out a clean rag, and she said, "What happened?" And I said, "Oh, I got stabbed. I just want to take a look at it here."
Oh, I got stabbed.
and I open it up. There's blood just pouring out of my leg, and I wrapped it. Yeah, and I'm wrapping this rag around it, which is just sort of blooming into redness now. She's all freaking out, and I'm like, we might need more than a rag. Do you have a first aid kit in here? Because you're a kitchen. You should have a first. She's like, "I do have a." She's like, "I should go get a medic." No. We don't need any medics. We don't need to freak people out. I simply got stabbed. It's not that big a deal. and I bandaged it, and it healed up. No long-term damage. People that sword fight get poked on occasion.
I have this little, and I showed this on the show for some reason we were talking about. Let's see if we can highlight it.
Can you see mine?
There. Yeah, one of those. There it is. See that little scar above my finger?
Yeah.
It goes from about here to about here. And keep in mind, I had a dagger in this hand. Oh, is that a dagger I see before me? Yes, and it doubles as a ruler. I was holding, I had parried his blades away with both my sword and my dagger. And he pulled back and reposted in and caught me right here at that. There's that angle is right there.
Yep.
Is the angle. And he ran that blade into my arm. I don't know how deep, but I pulled back and we're on stage still. And I said, ow, I think you got me. And I wasn't loud because of the audience. I said, I think you got me. He goes, you okay? And I looked, and the shirt was tucked up into the wound. It had run the shirt right up in there.
Yeah.
And I went, I think I'm okay. And I went, grab the shirt and pulled it. I didn't realize it was blocking the wound. What should
Let me just take this bandage off and see how bad it is.
Yeah. Let me yank this bandage off of there. And so when I pull it out of there, what should happen? That whole poofy sleeve just pools with blood and is oozing out through the fabric and dripping. And that's when John Peterson ran up from the side stage and he wrapped it up real quick and tied it. And he said, go. And Rob drove me to the hospital local. So we were in there. You saw the picture. Dressed in our kilts and all of that stuff and danglies and things. And we walked in. And
yeah, I always like it when a doctor says, well, is it a stabbing pain? Oh, no. I've been stabbed several times. It doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that. And we came in and there were cute nurses, of course. And I'm the bleeding one. And she goes, well, what happened to you boys? And why are you dressed the way you're dressed? And Rob interjects. He goes, it was a roofing accident. So
you don't want the police involved.
Yeah. So we had good fun with it because we were all dressed in our 16th century clothing and bleeding all over the place. So I got a few stitches in that, but that was it. It was fine.
I was out at our Renaissance Festival early morning. I'm getting ready, and I realize I didn't pack my wooden bowls. And so in Chaska or Shakopee, there's a Pier 1, and I'm like, I'm just going to run into the mall and grab a wooden bowl and some stuff. So I'm wearing my thigh-high boots, red and black party-colored tights, a festival shirt. Didn't have my doublet on. Put my belt on because all my keys and everything were in my pouch. Jumped in the car, run into town, have to wait for the store to open. Store opens, I get the stuff I need. I'm on my way.
Keep talking, out. Don't panic.
I gotta step away. And this woman comes up to me and she says, you're with the Renaissance. And I said, I am with the Renaissance. And she says, you know what gave you away? Those boots. And I said, yeah, normally I wear Nikes with this outfit. So okay, I'm going back to ghost stories. Also, shortly after the Palmer incident, where I had stated that I never see ghosts, I'm sitting at an intersection one night, and this Plymouth Fury pulls up next to me, and it's, I don't know, I would say mid to late 60s, and two guys in the front were sitting there, and they've got sort of the DA haircut thing happening. They're older guys. They're in their 50s and very much have that look like this is the haircut they wore when they were in their teens and stuff. And the car is totally cherried out. And I'm thinking, yeah, they're coming.
Playing on the radio is Blue Moon.
Yeah, I don't remember what was on the, but in the back seat is a girl who looks like she's about 16, maybe, in a white, like 50s or early 60s sort of.
I remember this story.
With a blonde bouffant hairdo mascara running down her face like she's in the back, and I see her dress is torn on the shoulder, and she's clearly been crying. And the two men in front are oblivious to this, what I'm seeing in the back, and I'm sitting there, and this girl is making eye contact with me. Okay. And I'm sitting at the intersection. I'm looking at this girl. I'm looking at the car. I'm looking at the two guys in the front who are in a conversation as if they're the only ones in the car. And this girl is sitting there. She's bawling. So they have to be able to hear her. And no one's looking over their shoulder to console her or say anything to her and stuff. And the light changes and off they go. And I have always wondered, WTF, was she a residual tied to that car because of a traumatic incident that happened there? They don't even know she's there.
Possible.
And she's forever riding around in the backseat of this car. Did she get killed in this car? What happened?
But Dave Potter, I just want you to know I'm an atheist, and that is a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for him.
Bless his little heart.
Bless him.
Bless his little heart. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Craziness.
Good stories. These are, when Dave and I work on a mural together.
That was the invention of Antonio.
Oh, my God. I told that story about Antonio. He lapses into his Italian baker, Italian chef who's actually an artist, and he's painting, and all I remember is the one of we're painting on this big mural of, like, it's supposed to look like 1500s 1400s Venice or something.
It was for
we're in a rudimentary stage of this, by the way. We don't have much paint on the canvas. We're goofing around.
We're really line drawing in where the buildings are going to be and such.
He's painting a naked woman. He paints laying on her back, knees up, spread
not on that. That's the story. I'll tell the story if you want.
Okay, you tell that story.
So Antonio Palladini, I got it one time. The Pope come to me, and he said, "Antonio, we want to have you paint the Virgin Mary." And I'm like, "Oh, I could paint the Virgin Mary. That's a good idea." And I got a vision into my head. And so I went down to the brothel because there's a girl there, Angelina, and she's a really good model. So I get Angelina, and I'm doing the painting of the Virgin Mary. And the Pope, he comes to me and he says, "What is this? We can't hang this into the Vatican." And I said, "What's wrong? It's the Virgin Mary. Why is she in that pose? What?" and I have her. I describe her as being laying on her back with her legs spread and her arms out reach. And I call it waiting on a god. So I told this story. That story was improv that night while we were painting the mural, because the person we were painting it for was part of I'm trying to think of the word. What's the
Emilio?
Italian?
It was Emilio. Was
no,
that his name?
But what's the comedy d'arte? That
out at the festival,
is the type of festival, is the type of acting troupe that it was. So it's very farcical. So he's sitting there watching us, and we're just doing this stuff to entertain him while we paint. I really don't like people to watch me paint.
No, man.
And so I'm just improvising all this stuff, right? Well, that story stuck with Antonio for years, and I would do the waiting on a Pope, and I also talked about
waiting on a God.
I also would talk in that I'd say, the Pope, he's a stingy bastard. Michelangelo, he could have done that whole ceiling in about a week, but the Pope only gave him one candle at a time. So he's up there with one little candle at a time, painting little bits and stuff. I said, that stingy Pope, he should have given him like a candelabra so he could have seen what he was painting and stuff. I did this whole thing on that. Anyways, we're out at festival on a rainy day. Everybody's stuck in one of the pubs, and I'm entertaining this crowd of people stuck in the pub. And I start doing the stingy Pope thing, and I finish with a waiting on God story. And as I'm doing the punchline for the Virgin Mary story, this bolt of lightning comes down and hits a tree 20 feet from us. And I went, okay, God no longer wants me telling this story. I'm not telling it ever again.
I'm going to retire that story.
Because it was right on the punchline. Everybody freaked out. I mean, literally, it was maybe 20 feet away from us, hit that oak tree and
Michelle
split it in half.
Cannon-Free, are you taking off for the night? You can't stick around for a little bit? I understand, though. She got a family. So, good night, Michelle. And I'm not going to stick around, frankly, much longer either. We've been going for an hour and 15
We could go to
minutes.
3 a.m. We could.
Dave and I, you give us a little rum or a little scotch and a little, scotch. It reminds me, Dave used to frequent scotch and cookies. Scotch and cookies at Scotty's.
Oh, I miss scotch and cookies.
I miss
Those
it too.
were good days.
Those were very good days. And there was one time, I don't remember if it was a scotch and cookies or if it was my birthday. And Sam, I remember, was 4 years old at the time. So this is 17 years ago. This is either right before Rainey came into our lives or right after. I want to say it was my 44th birthday, and which was a night that I kind of hit it off with Rainey. And we didn't start dating till the next summer. But so we're there and we're drinking scotch. And Sam, 4-year-old Sam, says something to the effect of, "I'd really like to try that, Uncle Dave." And Dave was like, "I don't think I can let you try this. This is pretty." And I'm like, "No, I don't think you should try any of that." And he goes, "Please let me try it." And Dave is like, we'll just let him take a sniff of it. That'll turn him off. He takes the snifter from Dave and he does one of these. He goes, "Oh." And Dave goes, "Give me that." And takes it back.
Oh, he's a Pete lover. We've got
Yeah, he's a Pete lover.
Damn it. That was not good. That's not good.
Barbie D just had the cookies. So too late, Michelle Cannon-Free. You got kicked out. Oh, she's out? Oh.
Big Newtons and scotch.
Big Newtons and scotch. Yeah, and this is a typical Dave Potter story. I'm helping him. He's building the live chessboard on one of the stages at the Renaissance Festival.
The unicorn stage, yeah.
Unicorn stage. It's elevated a couple of feet off the ground, so he had to build the platform, and it's all wood. And he's building this chessboard. And I went out to give him a hand, and we're out there all by ourselves, and it's spring, and the big oak trees, and the wind's blowing through the oak trees, and I brought Fig Newtons, and we had Guinness, I think, and soda or other things. And so we're out there and had the Fig Newtons. And now this is just typical Dave. Typical Dave. There's nothing much to this story, but there we are. And Dave goes, we're sitting on the stage, and the unfinished stage in front of us. And he says, He says, "Those are good Fig Newtons." He goes, "You know what this is?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "This is a Fig Newton." He goes, "You know what this is?" And he goes, whoosh, throws it off into the distance. I went, "You just wasted a Fig Newton." He goes, "That's a Farfig Newton." and so there you go. There's your groaner for the night, folks. That had to be, what year would that have been?
Probably, oh my God, I don't know.
That's
just the way my brain works.
90s, the late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. So, yeah, Farfig Newton. So, well, count me out, says Roger. The thought of a Fig Newton turns my stomach. Major texture issue for me. I love Fig Newtons.
It's a textural thing for me too.
And you know, they make you poop a lot.
Is my favorite.
What?
Shortbread is my favorite.
Shortbread I like. You know why Fig Newtons make you poop a lot? Because they're made out of dates. And so, and you can't eat just one Fig Newton. You eat a sleeve at a time.
But you can go on just one date.
You can go on just one date. But when you eat a whole sleeve, that tends to mess with your digestive system. That's like, again, an old story of Rob Lane, who I haven't talked to in years. But he said, man, we went up to Door County. Whenever I want to do Rob, an impression of Rob, I always get this voice like this, and this squeaky voice. He was a short guy, sinewy, thin, and at the time when we were all in our head, he had really long, thick Yanni hair and big mustache, and he goes, he says, Jill and I went up to Door County. He says, we found this Amish place that has great blueberry pie. And I want that blueberry pie. He says, so we bought a couple of blueberry pies. We bought blueberry bread. We bought buckets of blueberries. And he says, they were so good. He says, we're in the car and I'm just eating blueberries. He says, pretty soon I looked down, I ate that whole 2-quart bucket of blueberries, but then I wanted pie. So I crammed down, he says, half of that blueberry pie. He goes, you wouldn't believe it. He says, but
where this is going.
He goes, I shit blue for 2 days. So anyway. Hey, there's Michelle Cannon Free. She's still here. So I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad everybody's still here. We still got kind of not a full room. We've only dropped a couple of people, but we've got a nice couple of handfuls of people in there.
So we should plan this October to do a ghost story night.
We should.
And just trade off ghost stories all night. Because I've got ghost stories from when I was out in West Virginia working on a film. I've got ghost stories from the lodge that I haven't told. I've got all kinds of,
I got ghost stories from, my whole life, really, but not until really it was after Rainey and I were together when I really got, just before Rainey and then since Rainey. A lot of stuff. She's like a magnet. So
it's the touching ones that which always kind of freak me out. Or the ghost children. So you and I and Rainey went to tour a warehouse over on Mud Flats over in St. Paul along the river. And I can't even remember why we were touring that warehouse. We were looking for something.
I thought you had a space in there.
No, I didn't have a space in there.
Oh, we were scouting. We were scouting to do some filming for Dead Reckoning.
Yeah. Scouting for a film. And so the guy's showing us around. We get on a freight elevator. You're in front talking to the realtor. Rainey and I are behind you guys talking to each other. And all of a sudden, Rainey's eyes get really big and she looks down between us. And then my eyes got really big. So a little child took a hold of her hand, and then she looks at me and I can see her hand outstretched like she's holding somebody's hand. And then a hand took a hold of my hand, like this little kid was standing between us holding our hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that.
One time in Mary King's Close? Mary King's Close.
Mary King's Close.
Mary King's Close in Edinburgh. So Amy and I went there for our honeymoon. Well, not to that specific close. We went to Edinburgh, but we were both into paranormal stuff, and they had these Market Square tours, and they were every night they had all these different haunted tours you could take. So every night we jumped on a tour someplace around Edinburgh through this company. And the one night they went down to Mary King's Close, and down there is a room. So a close in Scotland is a narrow little alleyway.
Yep.
And what happened is Edinburgh was being built up. They had all these lower levels had kind of Romanesque vaults, the arched vaults.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they just laid new streets on top of these vaults and built up above it. So there's this whole underground area which was sort of abandoned as the city grew and they grew up in Old Edinburgh. And what happened is the impoverished people realized that's like a natural cave. It's 60 some degrees year round. So in the dead of winter, instead of freezing on the street, they could go down there and live quite well. And in the heat of the summer, they were quite comfortable. So all the impoverished people moved down into this underground area, and they had shop stalls and they had homes and they had all these things built into this area. Well, the plague came through, and as you can imagine, all those people living close like that, and hygiene was not the greatest in Edinburgh in that period. And the plague ran right through there, and the city fathers decided the easiest way to deal with these underground areas were to brick up those closes and just leave people in there, so they couldn't get out and spread the plague. And eventually they'd all die, and we wouldn't have to worry about them. Okay, so within this underground chamber, there's a chamber where they believe a little girl's spirit lives, and the theory that is passed around for her story is that she came down with the plague and her parents left her in this room and left because they didn't want to catch the plague. And she was left alone and died alone. Okay. So years before, they had a Japanese film crew down there, and they experienced a whole bunch of paranormal stuff with this little girl rolling a red rubber ball around and stuff like that on its own. And so one of the camera technicians went out to the street and bought a little Scottish Cupid doll type thing and a kilt and stuff to leave for her as a gift. And since then, tourists had been leaving. They have a table sitting down there, and they're piled high with little dolls and things like this. Okay. Now, when I married Amy, she came with 2 kids, a 4-year-old girl. Well, she was 2 when we first started dating, but she was 4 when we got married. And Dylan would have been 6 or 7 at the time. Anyway, so I had little kids in our lives. They didn't come with us on the honeymoon. We left them with the grandparents.
Well, that's good.
So we could have, grown-up time. And
naughty
Kaylee
time.
Kaylee used to do this thing because she was tiny. She would come up and grab a hold of my pocket when we were in a crowd of people and she felt nervous. So she'd be as close to me as possible. She didn't grab my hand, she grabbed my pocket. So Amy and I are standing there, and they're talking about the ghost of this little girl.
Nice.
And I feel this little hand tugging on my pocket, and instinctively thought, oh, Kaylee's grabbed a hold of my pocket. Put my hand down and plunged my hand into a cold spot. And I looked down, and you could see my pant leg was pulled out from my leg at the pocket, like somebody was holding on to it. Okay. I tapped Amy. Amy looks down, and we're looking at my pant leg literally sticking straight out on its own, as though somebody just right. And he goes, now we don't know if the little girl's here or not. And Amy's like, oh, she's here. She's right here. And everybody turns around, and you can see my pant leg pulled out, and people are taking pictures. And then the little girl let go of it, and my pant leg just fell normal against my leg. and everyone's like, wow. I'm like, there you go.
Nice.
But yeah, children's ghosts are the ones that freak me out the most. And
why do they freak you out?
Well, and it's an emotional tug, that because when you cross over, you're supposed to walk into that light and move on. And little kids don't always know that, so they're afraid of the light. They don't go to it. And so yeah, that and child EVPs. That's I don't
child
like to think of,
EVPs are rough.
I don't like to think of them staying here when I get it when the adult stays. The adult stays for a number of reasons. To me, the adult spirit stays because they're super attached to that property. like the old man who built the house and raised his
Right,
family
right.
and just doesn't want to leave the house. This is my house. I'm
But
staying.
children,
And yeah.
but
Or
children,
traumatic death things where that Seth at the Palmer house, who was shot, happened so quick, he doesn't know he's dead and he's still there. And then by the time the light has gone and he's lost his way to get back or to cross over, or he's looking for some sort of revenge on this side, he's upset and he's staying. He's going to haunt this place, right?
yeah.
I get those spirits. I understand why they're there. But the child ghosts, they're the ones that I think are the hardest because
Yeah.
either they crossed over and didn't know they'd crossed over, and they were afraid of the light, they didn't go into the light, and they're
Or they
stranded.
died and didn't know it, and they what do you hear from so many child spirits? They can't find their mom or dad.
Yeah, and it's always mournful, Yep. Now I was gonna say Seth. It's not Seth. What's the kid's name on Ghost? Is his name Seth?
On what show?
Ghost Adventures.
The kid.
Well, I call him a kid. He's probably in his 40s now. He was 20 when they started the damn show.
Yeah. I'm not sure which one because they're all in their 40s now.
Well, the dark-haired kid, the lead, the guy who started.
Oh,
the
Zach.
whole thing.
Zach Baggins. Yeah.
Yeah. So, his theory on child ghosts is they're not really child ghosts; they're demons that are trying to manipulate you.
And
I've
heard
that
this before too.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I've had a number of experiences with child ghosts, and I think they are what they say they are. And I think they're trapped children that need to cross over. Like the kid in the warehouse that Rainey and I experienced. My belief is one of those poor unfortunate kids in a milling factory that lost his life in the shuttles while he was going in there to collect broken wefts and stuff. So that machinery was dangerous. That's why they used little kids to do it, because adults couldn't fit in those spaces.
Couldn't fit into them.
But they didn't want to shut the machineries off. They made the kids go in there and dodge the shuttles so that they could get those strands and get things back online.
Exactly.
Crazy stupid.
Yeah.
But
well, I saw a series. It was like a Masterpiece Theater series that was focused on an old mill, a milling company that would make fabrics in like 1800s, 19th century England. And it was really well done. And they showed that very thing. The kid who lost his arm and barely survived and that kind of thing, So, well, what else you got? You got anything else before we start to trail off into nothingness here?
It's 11:30.
It is. It is 11:30.
I signed on almost an hour ago.
You did. And
it was actually it was 9:50, I think, when I came in here.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, Scotty's on.
Yeah. Hey. And it being 11:30 is nothing. It used to be nothing for us. Now we're like, oh my God, it's 11:30.
Well, I'll be up till 4 probably. That's normal for me.
Yeah. I was up quite late last night like that, and I just don't do that much anymore. So,
did you get a chance to go out and look at the mural I'm working on?
To go out? No.
Yeah, I did a post, an update on Facebook.
Oh,
you
no.
Didn't look at it. You didn't look at the message from me from Messenger either, obviously.
No. Not when I'm doing the show. I don't do too much.
Well, it was yesterday after I finished painting. But why don't you pop out there and take a look at the update and just throw some thoughts in the Messenger for me?
You got it.
But yeah, I'm working on that fairy forest in the closet.
It's not Sunday morning already, field guy. We haven't gotten that far. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to send you on your way, toddling away, Uncle Dave. And I will talk to
Tell
you.
the kids good night. They're probably still up if
They're
I know
sleeping.
them.
They're sleeping. I haven't heard of anything. Rainey took them into their room, and it's silent. I think they all fell asleep in there. So sleep alone tonight. So
Rowan's still sleeping on the floor.
who? Rowan?
Rowan.
No. She's got her own room. She switched rooms with Flynn. So Flynn is now upstairs next to Rainey's in my room. And his room it's clean because it just got moved. And Rowan's in the room behind me. Yeah. It's like, what? It's incredulous.
Maybe he's finally listening.
And oh no. Oh no.
Okay.
Don't deceive yourself.
The twins were 18 and on their own and still had messy rooms.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And so she's in the room behind me, but they all piled into Rowan's or Ellery's room. So they're all in the big bed in Ellery's room, watching TV, and I'm sure Rainey fell asleep or she'd be back out of there. So, but
yeah, Rowan, last time I was over, she's showing me her room, and I said, "Where's your bed?" "I sleep here on the floor." And I said, "You're just like Uncle Dave," because that's what I do. I curl up. I've got a mattress thing on the floor that I sleep on.
Yeah, I've got
I'm still a vagabond. I can't shake that.
You know, I still have a California king size bed with it's like a parade ground.
I haven't owned a bed since the divorce.
What were the lines in The Quiet Man with John Wayne? They're moving.
Oh, where he breaks her bed?
No. They're moving. His friends are moving their bed in.
Oh, it's a luxurious bed, isn't it?
Oh, it's a giant bed. What you do in a bed that big? So yeah, and this is in the 40s when they filmed that. So
and Katharine Hepburn, or not Katharine Hepburn, but Maureen O'Hara. Just laid into them. "Don't you be looking at my bed, you shameful men."
That's a shameful thing. And I love that. Where she's all mad because she hasn't got her dowry, and I can't, they don't say it because it's a movie from the 40s, but it's like, I can't be making love without my dowry,
Yeah.
And I always liked, it was McLaughlin, who played Danaher. Will Danaher. And he always had that voice like that. He'd say to his servant that followed him around, his toady who had the book, says, "Get out the book." He says, "Write his name in it."
I got it right here.
Squire. He goes, "You got his name written in it?" "Yes, Squire."
Now, down, Squire.
Scratch a line through it.
He'd scratch it out.
So yeah, he was a pretty cool dude, actor. So a good movie,
a great movie. It's
a
just
wonderful movie. Folks, if you've never seen The Quiet Man, it's nothing like the book. Well, I take that back. It's similar to the book, but the relationship between Danaher's sister and what the hell was John Wayne's character's name? Sean Thornton. Sean Thornton. And Mickey
Sean Thornton, the boxer.
Yes. And Mickey Flynn playing the old drunken actor. It was actually Barry Fitzgerald was his actor, the little old squeaky Irish guy.
Yep.
And he was such a natural. And he took them courting, and he had the horse-drawn carriage walking behind them, and they could go up ahead and walk. And he was the chaperone, and he was watching for the courting. And they're up walking, and he says, "And there'll be no patty fingers now." And
so that is tied to, and I'm trying to remember, was it Tie a Yellow Ribbon or was it Fort Apache? I think it's the Yellow Ribbon. But so is it Ford or Houston? I can never remember. Ford did that. Yeah.
Ford.
So in order to get the money to make The Quiet Man, because the studio kind of looked at the script and thought, yeah, I don't know if we can do this.
John Wayne
And he wanted to shoot it in Technicolor. So they had only so much money in the budget. He got the entire cast to agree to do this Western because the studio knew they could make money on it. And they shot it in black and white because they knew that would make it cheaper. And they went out and they shot the Yellow Ribbon and got that all done, and then went to Ireland and shot this expensive on location Technicolor thing. And The Quiet Man blew the other picture out of the water.
Yep. The Quiet Man was such such classic moments in it, and they had to build up that Sean Thornton was a boxer who killed a man in the ring type of thing. You know, that was his hidden secret, and that's why he's there. And White on Morn, you know, the little cottage he grew up in. And you know who owns that, by the way, is actor Gabriel Byrne.
Really?
He bought White on Morn about a good 25 years ago.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
Gabriel Byrne. And but what a wonderful story. It's a sweet story.
It's a great love story.
I don't like what John Wayne movies. I said, you'll like The Quiet Man.
Yeah.
And
such a great movie.
I loaned my copy of that out. It's gone somewhere. I don't know who's got it. But,
yeah, I have a copy around I've got like 4,000 titles in my collection. It's hard to keep track of them all now.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I've got 4,000, and it's hard to keep track of them all.
Oh, it is. It is.
You did the hair.
I have them all archived and everything, but it's still they're currently in storage at the lodge because we were doing so many movie things there, and now I'm moving out of that storage space, and so I'm sure I'll pull everything together again. But
you're right, Iowa X. John Ford directed everything, he said. So
Ford and Houston, great directors.
Houston and Ford did a lot with Bogart too.
Yeah.
So I love Bogart movies.
I do too.
So,
Bogey and Macaw.
I just loved his style. And you know, it was I don't know if this was scripted or if it was Bogart's style when they're filming. I loved I don't think it was the Maltese Falcon. I think it was The Big Sleep. He's got the little rich girl that puts the hots on him. And she says to him, well, you're not very tall.
He's a tiny man.
And he was. And Bogart, in his typical style, she goes, you're not very tall. And he goes, well, I try to be. You could just hear him saying it. I mean, just little quips, I try to be.
He always used,
he was
in all his gangster pictures and stuff, he always used a Colt Commander, which is a sort of smaller frame version of the 1911, because an actual 1911 made his hands look absolutely tiny.
Tiny, yep. Yeah, he was probably about Rob Lowe or
maybe
Tom Cruise size. Tom Cruise size.
Yeah, probably about Tom Cruise size. And Macaw was only 18 when she did their first film together.
Oh, Bacall. Yeah, she was 18 or 19 when they hooked up and got into the relationship for the rest of their lives, the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And
he was what, 40?
He was in his 40s. She was 19, I believe.
But 18 when she did the first film with them.
Yeah.
And I look at that film and I'm like,
the one with the hurricane, Key Largo. I thought.
Is that the first one? No, it's where she says, put your lips together and blow.
Oh, put your lips together and blow. To have and have not. To have and have not.
I think that's her first with him.
Rick, you do know how to whistle, don't you? You just put
your lips together and blow. Yeah.
And blow.
And
she walked out of the door and he goes,
I look at that and I go, she's 18? She did not look 18. 18 was different in the 1930s.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. So that, frankly, my dear, says Michelle Canifley, a totally different movie, Michelle. That's Gone with the Wind. You probably
But
knew.
another not so
Gone with
tall
the
actor.
Wind and Rhett Butler, played by Clark Gable. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Tomorrow is another day.
Oh, Miss Scarlet, Miss Scarlet. Oh my God, those are great.
I don't know nothing about birthing babies.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about birthing no baby.
Yep. Great movie. But anything Bogart is just captivates me. He was so good at what he did.
38 must have been an amazing year to be in Hollywood. You've got
God.
Gone with the Wind, and there's just an endless slew of excellent films.
Golden pictures of the golden big screen, silver screen era.
Yeah.
And golden era of Hollywood on the silver screen. There you go. I've been meaning to pick up for years. I wanted to get one of those Maltese Falcons replicas and put it up on my shelf. I just haven't done it. I wanted to get a good one, a screen perfect Maltese.
Somebody I know has a decent one. Trying to think who that was.
Steal it for me. Get it for me.
It's really heavy.
Yeah. African Queen was good. That was a little later in his career.
Yeah.
Good movie. Where he played Captain Queeg in
Mutiny on the Mutiny on the Cane Mutiny.
Cane Mutiny. Yep. He was older in that one. Sabrina, he was older in, of course, with a very young Katharine Hepburn.
Sabrina is absolutely one of my favorite films, and it's not Katharine Hepburn. It's
the other one with the very similar name, Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn, yeah. And the remake. I don't generally like when they remake a classic.
Who's in that? Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford and Craig, not Craig. What's his name? He used to have a talk show.
Greg Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear.
Yeah.
Is such a really well done modern version of Sabrina. It just really worked. Yeah. I was really happy with the way they did it. They kept most of the story as true to the original story as possible. Even some of the lines are exactly the same. They didn't change everything in the script. They updated the technology. He was in an electronics sort of business instead of a building contracting type business. But oh my God, such a really well done piece.
Iowa X says Key Largo was the one with the hurricane. Do you know who had a bit part in Key Largo? He later went on. Jay Silverheels played one of the local Indians there.
Yeah.
Jay Silverheels, y'all remember who he went on to become famous playing?
Tonto.
Tonto, original Lone Ranger television series. So Jay Silverheels was in that movie. Edward G. Robinson was in that movie. I liked Bogart in when he played the bad guys, when he was in Petrified Forest.
Plays a good bad guy.
Yeah, he played a good bad guy. But it was a coup to put him into movies like when he played Philip Marlowe, The Big Sleep, then The Maltese Falcon.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Casablanca in 41.
Oh, my God. What a great film that is.
What an unbelievable film that is. I took Rainey a few years ago to the 75th anniversary of that movie. They were showing it on the big screen.
Yeah.
And of course, back then in 41, there was not the mega widescreen pictures. It was almost square, the film picture.
Yeah.
Key Largo was directed by John Huston. He directed the rest of the good ones, said Iowa X. So, Jimmy Rizzo, you're back. How you doing? Why'd you leave so fast? Nice to have had you on. Let's see. Robin Hood, said Barbie D. Errol Flynn. You look at that movie now, and it was such a comic book take on Robin Hood, but not back in 1939.
Yeah, I love that movie. That was one of my favorites. Errol Flynn, he's my favorite actor from that era.
Mine too. And loved Errol Flynn, and always wanted to be Errol Flynn. That's the way it was. And what was the what would you say is one of the best remakes? And some of them aren't even remakes, just different Robin Hood movies. Mine, I really enjoyed, although I didn't like every bit of it. I enjoyed the movie. Was Russell Crowe playing Robin Hood?
It's okay. That's okay. But you know what? I also, Sean Connery's
oh my
Robin
God.
and Marion is to me okay. As I get older and I understand more the legends and the truth behind the
Thank you,
man.
Michelle Cannon-Free.
Tony Robinson did a really excellent piece on a British history thing on looking at.
I saw that.
Who Robin Hood was and stuff. That was very interesting.
One of the things I like to do when I go to sleep, I like to turn on the TV and I watch Tony Robinson shows. I love his Time Team.
Yeah.
I really
just finished
love
20 years. I've been watching them in order, and I just finished all 20 years of that show.
200 episodes or more. He did a series a few years ago, Walking Through Britain.
Yeah.
And he'd find different walking paths, ancient Roman roads, and he'd walk from this place to that. Well, you should watch it. It's historical, but it's so peaceful watching his show. He's got a new show out now on the history of Britain. So
he's done several throughout the years. I mean, obviously we fell in love with him as Baldric in the Blackadder series, but he's done a number of different historical things, and I don't know if it was started because of Time Team, and then he'd do these little offshoots from that. But he did the worst jobs of the Middle Ages.
Yes,
and
worst medieval jobs.
The Piss Boy and all the different things like that.
Yes.
And then he did the 1700s and kind of went through.
You've heard of Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe.
Yeah, and the worst jobs of the Victorian era.
Tony Robinson, yeah. The dirtiest jobs of the Victorian, dirtiest jobs of medieval England.
Yeah, very interesting. And my remembrance is that he was the host of Meet the Ancestors. But when I bring it up on YouTube, there's another guy that's the host. And I could swear that those were originally Tony Robinson. And maybe Tony took over after a certain period. I don't know.
And of course, a lot of us, our first brush with Tony Robinson was as Baldric in the Blackadder series. So against,
I just said that.
I'm sorry, I didn't. No, I was reading the chat room a little bit. Rowan Atkinson is Blackadder.
Yes, Rowan Atkinson.
But so yeah, I love Tony Robinson's work. Tony Robinson also filmed an episode, not of Time Team, but of some historical show at John and Maria's site at Gebel El Silsila.
And John almost drowned him.
Yeah, John almost drowned him. So
took him down in the new tomb that they found, and the water was like really deep.
It was a shaft. You had to go down about 30 feet, and you were in the water. The Nile, they had to keep draining it out to get into the rooms.
The pumps quit or something. They were draining it out. The pumps quit while they were in there, and it just started out in the Nile.
And they were back under an overhang into the inner room, and the water started rising. So, but
I miss John and Maria.
Yeah,
I don't chat with them near enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss him too. He called me. No, didn't call me. He wrote me 2 weeks ago, maybe, from Cairo. He says, "Brother," and you could hear him, "Brother, I'm sitting in the Cairo airport having coffee." He says, "We need to catch up." And he says, "I'm here until I'm not home until Wednesday. He says, let's catch up on Wednesday. Cool. And I haven't heard from him since. So he's hard to pin down. So.
Yep.
Anyway. So, folks, there we are. That's all we got. I got no more.
Yeah, we could go on for hours, but they must be bored of hearing us reminisce.
Yeah. We'll do
scintillating
like
radio.
It is scintillating radio. It could be scintillating interviews, scintillating stuff. So Dave and I are just reminiscing ghosts and movies and sword fighting and actors and so on and so forth. So
life.
Life. I would love to encourage you all to go to theswordintheclay.com. There were many people that donated to the pledged to the Kickstarter, which we did not reach the goal. And, you know, the Kickstarter campaign, they make you feel so good about yourself. I go there now and I look at the Kickstarter to get some information off of it, and it says, your campaign was not successful. Thank you. It's a remind me, you are a failure. Your campaign was not successful.
Give us your hand so we can cut it and pour lemon juice on it.
Yes, yes. Pour lemon juice on it. And so I didn't want the iron to grow cold, the heated iron. So I quickly last night, the night before, I put up a website. And so you can go to theswordintheclay.com. And we've had a lot of people coming in from the Kickstarter repurchasing what they had pledged. Because once you're unsuccessful at Kickstarter, you know what happens?
Take the money.
They shut it down. Nobody's card is charged. Nobody lost a penny. I didn't make a penny. And so you can go over and just pre-order your book. And that book is going to press probably on Monday.
Some more.
May I have some more, please? The book's going to press on Monday, and we'll have it probably sometime in early May. And so,
hey, you got to hunt through your files. When we were doing pre-press for the poetry book.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know.
It's probably long gone.
I have a copy of it, but it doesn't. I don't have the updated. We had it almost done, with exception of 3 or 4
We were
pieces
doing that in the Larpenter house, and we moved out to the ranch after the Larpenter house, and
you must have
there was
someplace.
one big disk drive I had that went bad, and
don't tell me that.
I think all your stuff might have been on that disk. That would have been probably. I have to look in some of the discs I have here and see if I have a Dave Potter file.
Yeah,
Dave.
We were
Potter.
doing it in Illustrator. I know that we were doing it in Illustrator. The final version.
It was Photoshop. I didn't do Illustrator.
No. It was Illustrator, because we were going in and we were doing the artwork in that, and then dropping. You were paginating everything and doing the pre-press in the Illustrator.
I hate Illustrator.
Because I had to go
into Illustrator.
Isn't it? What's the other one that they have then? I'm pretty sure it's Illustrator. I had to go and get
that. Was about the same time I did the baccalaureate address for it was Ange Olson worked there for the Art Institutes International. And for their school. So I did the baccalaureate for graduation address.
What's the other Adobe product?
And that they asked me to come and teach. And they wanted me to teach illustration and design. Well, what they didn't say was they wanted me to teach Illustrator. That was at the same time. And so if we did it on Illustrator, it was probably because at that same time, I was having to learn Illustrator and teach it on a college level.
What's the other one that Adobe products have that you guys use for pre-press?
I use mostly Photoshop for everything. I use InDesign.
Oh, InDesign. That's it. So, not Illustrator. InDesign
is what InDesign. That's what I used to lay out the books.
Yeah, and that's what we were doing. We laid it all out in InDesign. And
I don't create color images in InDesign.
We didn't have color images in it. We had line drawings. We took photographs.
And we just imported them in.
We did line drawing, so we took photographs and we ran them through 3 different filters to turn them into line drawings, to add a grainy look, and to make them, because I wasn't going to print in color. I just wanted to print in black and white. So I cannot find the most up-to-date version. I have looked on all my hard drives and all my flash drives from that period, and I cannot find. I've got the file. I've got all of the chapters individual. I've got the artwork individual, and I've got the poems themselves individually. But
and
I
of
don't
course,
have.
What was that? 15 years ago, we were working on that.
Well,
so
yeah, because it was the therapy for me when I got divorced. It was how I worked through all that stuff.
Yeah, and
but I reference that book all the time. I'd actually like to print it.
Sure,
get it published out there, because there's good stuff in that, especially if you're in relationships and trying to figure them out. It's an excellent book to help you understand. And I think the biggest thing, that the chapter I have in there on owning your shit, when you leave a relationship, and I saw this is something that I picked up on from Scotch and Cookies. We had one of our friends, and I'm not going to say gender or anything. One of our friends went from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship. And
yep,
it was just every relationship that was started magnified on the problems from the previous one, and they all ended up in disaster. And I finally just said, you need to learn to own your shit. You need to look at your relationship as you're ending it, separate out, these are all the things that I created, these are all the things that my partner created. Okay? And forgive them for their transgressions and all that crap, and forgive yourself for these things that you're doing wrong, but learn from those things and stop doing those things, because you're just dragging baggage from one relationship to the next, and you are going to be doomed with all these deadbeat relationships until you understand that and learn to let go of that stuff. Did you ever see the movie The Mission?
Yes. Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro. Him dragging his armor and his swords and all that stuff through the jungle and up the waterfall, and Liam Neeson going, no, you've got to let it go, and saying to the other priest, we've got to, and he's like, no, until he's ready to let go of that life, he can't move on from that life. And it was like,
yep.
And that was the biggest thing for me, to let go of things, cut the line, drop all the armor and swords, and move on. And understand. There was such a breakthrough in my head, and it really, it helped the book, because it's the best piece of advice I can give anyone when they're leaving a relationship. Understand what you did wrong, forgive yourself for it, and change it.
There it is.
Understand what they did wrong, forgive them for it, and move on from it, and start your next relationship without all these burdens.
Yep.
You know, Amy came into our relationship, and her relationship with Tom, he was also a chef and stuff. So there were things that I did in my life that triggered her, because they mirrored things that happened in his life. And I'm like, I'm not Tom. We're very different people. We have
we
a
just
similar
talked about
career,
this thing on this show the other night.
And we're both involved in Renaissance Festival, but my relationship at Festival and his relationship at Festival were completely different. And you know, so it's like,
I'm not that guy.
I'm not that guy. And so I would say something, and I would get all the wrath of Tom thrown at me. And I'm like, you've got to stop that. I can't be held responsible for something your ex-husband did. You know?
Yeah. Michelle Cannon-Free has a great idea there.
What's that?
I just threw it up on the screen. I don't know if you can see your screen.
It's really tiny. I'm on my phone.
Oh, all-nighter pajama party.
Hey, I'm for it.
I'm in my jammies. No.
I am too.
I go to sleep in my clothes.
Had a funeral this morning, and I came home, and so last night I was at Lodge. We did a movie night. I didn't get home until 1:30 in the morning. It was 2:00 when when I hit the bed. Had an alarm set for 5:30. Got up, got ready. Had to be back in the cities in Roseville at 10 a.m. Got there at 9 or 9:30, and so it was. I had like no sleep last night. I was so exhausted when I got back home. Crazy.
I hear you. Yeah, I was up just working on a website all last night. So I wanted that website up for this morning. So I don't do much of that anymore. It's not that I can't. It's that I haven't felt like it lately.
I'm getting into digital marketing. I'll have to sit and chat with you. I've got some ideas for moving business to Rainy's site and your site.
Yeah. Hey, keep talking. It's so late. I gotta pee. I'll be right back.
I don't know what to say to these people. I don't even see how many people are on. I can't see the chat room when I'm in here. Hope you're all having a good time. It's been a crazy day. I suppose I could bring up my tablet and then I could see the chat room and respond to things you're saying. We'll have to get together for Talk Like a Pirate Day. I think that's September 19th or something like that. Open up the YouTubes over here. Scotty Roberts. Tap in. Open up the YouTubes over here. Oh, and you can hear me talking. Scotty, turn that down so we're not getting feedback.
Now that I'm back, you finally figured it out.
Yeah, I can actually see. I've got the tablet on, so I can see the chat room because I can't see once you go on the video, you're brought into the room. I can't see the chat room anymore. So.
Oh, true. I can see it all. So, yeah, it's oh, I got yelled at today a couple of times.
Oh, that's nice. Who'd you get yelled at by?
Man, my lovely, beautiful wife.
That never happens.
Not hardly. And it's like the one up back and forth thing, and it's like, stop trying to. You're just trying to win an argument. I said, just stop. Knock it off. Be done. Enough. And that doesn't do anything, It doesn't do any good to go, stop. All right, that's cool. All right, knock it off. All right.
Scotty,
shut the fuck. I never use shut the fuck up.
I learned that this is what worked with Amy, at least in our last argument, because I never had another argument after this. I didn't have a wife after this either, but I looked her square in the eyes and stopped her in the middle of her yelling about something. I said, Amy, I think I know you a little bit better than you do.
That always works. You think I haven't used that line? You think I don't know? Tonight she had a massage to do. So she ran out and did that. And it was during the dinner hour. And I said earlier in the day, I said, I'm going to do just some ground beef and gravy over mashed potatoes for dinner tonight. And so I made gluten-free brown gravy for her. And she already had a couple of bags of ground beef and in the fridge. And so I said, I'll just use one of those. And
great simple dinner. I've done that many times.
Yeah, real simple, and it's tasty and hearty. So I made that up. And then, of course, Ellery didn't want to eat that, and Rowan didn't want to eat that. And Flynn had a friend of his over. They ate pizza. Can we make these frozen pizza? Sure. And so Rowan ate was the only one I think that ate the potatoes she loved it. And so it was good, but Rainey came home and she was just mad. And it was like, what bag of hamburger did you use? And I said, one of the ones in the fridge. Did you use the one with the celery in it? And I said, maybe, I don't know. I couldn't tell. And frankly, I remember looking at it. I don't remember seeing one with celery in it because it was all cooked into the meat. And I said, if the one that's in the fridge doesn't have celery, then yes. Don't you know that I like the one with celery for the... I go, no, I didn't know that. Sorry. And it just went
Oh
on
my God.
and on and on. And it was like, stop. For Pete's sake. It was hamburger. If you'd like, I can make some more hamburger and melt some celery into it. And so I got yelled at for that. I got yelled at for something else earlier today, too. It was something, we're going to the chiropractor together, going to stop at the store. I hadn't been for 2-3 weeks, and I said, I'll come along. And she says, you just be ready to go when I'm ready. I said, I'm ready. I'm ready now. I said, all I got to do is I got to pick up my glasses and put them on, and we can go. I'm sitting here at my desk, and she's putzing around doing stuff. Okay, it's time to go. Okay. I said, okay, I'm ready. And she walks over there, and she's doing something. And so I'm putzing with something on the website, tweaking something, and ready to stand up at a moment's notice. And she walks up the stairs. She goes, are you going to get fucking ready or not? I go, I'm ready. I said, I'm coming right now. Here's my glasses. Boom, I'm done. And I got up and I went upstairs, and it was halfway drive to the chiropractor. I'm getting chewed out for not being ready. I'm like, that was the first one in the day where I'm
Something's bothering her.
I said, what's going on? I said, what's really going on? And nothing. And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just stop. I said, just stop. Let's move on. Then we get to the chiropractor, and we're sitting in the waiting room. We're talking. Then she's sitting on the table, and I'm standing up, and then it was fun banter going back and forth. Fun comic, something you'd put into a movie. You know, the script was witty, and the repartee was tip top, and the and it was just back and forth. It was like watching Spencer Tracy and not Katharine Hepburn. There was somebody else when he was playing a sports writer in a movie, and it was just witty, bang bang, bang 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 bang. And the nurses were kind of laughing, and I said, well, that's what my wife do. I said, she was mad at me 20 minutes ago. And now I said, but the mad goes away when we start wanting to be funny about something. And
Amy and I used to start. So when we were on the road, we were at, we started this when we were at the Arizona show. We were late every
Lewis
morning.
Boyce. Sorry, go ahead.
And so we'd be walking into the site, heading to the booth where we were working, and we're late. And I'd say, oh, let's we got in an argument. We're late because we had an argument. What are we arguing about? Oh, you don't like the way I tie my doublet. And then we would just launch into something, and we would walk in screaming and shouting at each other, and the boss would be like, you guys are shut up.
Yeah.
I don't need it from you too. And we would sit there and argue back and forth. And I would some customer would be looking at, there was a jewelry place. I'm like, you don't want that bracelet. You want this bracelet. Why would you even look at that bracelet? That's not you. This is you. Put that bracelet. See, don't you see? And we would just start selling merchandise, and we would push just a ton of merchandise in that first 20 minutes while we were screaming and arguing at each other. And it was all make-believe.
Yeah. That's I liken Rainey to a brunette version of Mary-Kate Danaher from The Quiet Man. You know, she could sharp-tongued and she'll beat you with the frying pan unless there's something else closer, an axe handle. And but then she loves me too. So it's like okay. So now is that, some people would call it a split personality. I call it true love.
When I was engaged to Kim was half Irish and half Italian. And she got the worst of both breeds. She had fiery, quick temper and a grudge that would last forever.
Oh, it's a grudge.
My God.
That's Rainy. It's like, I never forget.
Yeah. Amy was that way too. So we're having an argument. And she goes, well, you said such and such. When did I say that? Back in 87 when we were in Texas, you said that. And I'm like, you can't hold me responsible for something I said 20 years ago. What the hell is that?
That's I had an old seminary professor.
With anything?
Dr. Ailing used to tell us in seminary, he said, you know what I figured about my wife? He says, my wife doesn't get hysterical. She just gets historical. And and he was a history teacher, egg-headed history teacher. So he's kind of the, I made it funny, kind of thing. And so it was great, but he was right about that. There.
Just realizing how big my beard is getting.
I've noticed that from here.
I'm getting to the point where I'm going to let it go. I'm going to shave it off.
Or
But I'm not going to waste it. I'm making a wig for you.
Instagram stars, they take all their pictures from this same angle. You know why? It makes their boobs look huge. So I'm seeing your beard from the boob angle. There it is.
Pretty
so
big.
You're making me a wig, huh?
I'm going to turn it into a wig for you.
Yeah, what? Are you looking at that? You seeing all that? Yeah, look at that. It's like, what the hell? My hair went with my misbegotten youth.
Yeah.
A new version of the dish ran away with the spoon. So, but, and it's going away faster now, too. I look at pictures from even a year ago. It's like my hairline was down here a little bit more.
My hairline has gone back. I used to be about right here. And now it's.
I got a haircut for the first time in like 2 months the other day. And that's why it's a little shorter even on top than it normally is. But all of this grew really full back here. And because where I'm losing it is like from here forward. It's just pretty soon this little island will be gone. And it's just going to recede and it'll be all the way back there. And if I let my hair grow real long, I'm going to have I looked in the mirror the other morning, my hair was just sticking up like this. And I looked like, not Curly, Larry from the Three Stooges. And he bald right here and just, so if I ever get a nasty, unsightly bald on top where it just doesn't look good anymore at all, I would just shave it.
Just
shave it off.
Do the Dairy Queen thing like Trump does and spin it around. And...
Oh, yeah, that's what I want to do. Yeah. Grow it really long here and flip it over. Yeah. And
see, I don't think it's a toupee. I literally think he doesn't.
Oh, I know it's not a toupee.
He does this swirl thing where it's combed back and around to the front and then flipped back over.
And his hair was like that 35 years ago, just slightly different style. And so I don't care, I think somebody did a mock-up picture of him having shaved the top of his head and shorn this down and grown a mustache and goatee. He looked really cool that way. So, but he's 78 years old, so 77, something like that. So he's used to his hair the way it is. Why change it now?
I'm hoping he doesn't run again. I loved him, and I think that he did great things, but he brings so much baggage. I'd actually rather see Donald Trump Jr. run.
Donald Trump Jr., DeSantis, I think, could run. But DeSantis has come out and said, I'm not running for president. But he would make a good president. I think there's some good guys out there. I even think there are good people on the left who are genuinely good people. Like you look at,
but they don't run them. They don't run them. They
won't run them. That's the thing. I look at Tulsi Gabbard, why does the right like her? Not because she's a Republican, but they like her because she's common sensed.
Yep.
And I appreciate if she ran and there wasn't a good candidate on either side, I'd vote for Tulsi Gabbard.
I would too.
And I don't agree with everything she says, but she's common sensed.
The left has just picked the worst candidates for the longest time to push forward. I don't understand. And who's their PR people that are going, oh, this is a great idea.
Yeah, let's run Joe Biden.
You
So
know,
I still think we talked about it at the beginning of the show tonight.
I absolutely loved when
there was-
Hillary and the whole family came out to do their speech when she lost to Trump, all wearing black and purple, the traditional color that every Disney villain is put.
Yeah.
They came out looking like a crime family. I'm like, what the hell? They're all wearing black and purple. Whose idea was
Yeah.
that? That's
They just have bad ideas. And it's that whole set. I'm not saying that there's nobody on the left that's any good. That's a good person.
And I just want to make this really clear. If Scotty and I both suicide tonight, it's not us. We
That's
didn't
right.
do it.
It wasn't us.
Have no interest in committing suicide. So take that, Hillary. We know what you're up to.
I'm just glad. I think who needs the extra bodyguards today? The people who have Hunter Biden's copies of his disk drive.
Oh yeah,
so,
who's ever sitting on that, boy?
Yeah, I'm sure. Iowa, we could say Tulsi Gabbard's awful. Look into her closet. We could do that about a lot of people. I like the way she presents herself.
I'm sick and tired that the press won't vet. I look at Obama. They didn't want to ask any questions. We don't want to ask anything that might create drama or anything. So we're just not going to ask any real questions at all. And he wants hope and change. Hope and change. That's a great idea. Let's have hope and change. Can we expand on that? How is that going to happen? We don't want to ask those kind of hard questions.
Make that work.
And then Biden comes around. We're just going to keep him in the basement. It's okay. It's COVID. You don't need to see him. We all know who he is because he's been a politician for decades. So we don't need to ask him.
I frankly think Joe Biden, that they cut a deal with him of some kind. That was and probably with Jill is who they cut the deal with. And that sounds so conspiratorial, but it's really not. They said, we want Trump out of office and we're going to run you. And not because you're the favored candidate, but because we will make sure you get into office. And right now, I don't think Joe really knows what is happening.
I don't either. And I don't think that he picked his VP candidate. I think that was so.
Yeah.
And this would not be the first time. When Roosevelt was president, the DNC came in and said, you will take Truman as your vice president this time around.
Yep.
You don't get a choice. This is the guy. And because of that, Roosevelt shut him out. When Roosevelt passed away, Truman didn't even know we had a nuclear program.
Wow.
He was that outside of the loop. And he's the one that had to give the order to drop the damn thing. Without having having been in that was a long program. Okay. That had been around almost since the beginning of the war. And Roosevelt just kept that all under wraps, didn't let anybody know about it, especially the vice president. That's craziness. So I look at our current situation. I don't think that Biden had a lot to say in that. You will take this woman as your VP. Now, personally, I think that's a huge mistake from day one.
Sure,
she was the first one to drop out of the primary because she couldn't even get into the double digits.
She couldn't hold. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. She couldn't hold.
So why pick her? There were so many other candidates that they could have brought forward and say, okay, you're going to be the VP. I would have been happy with Tulsi, like you said.
See, you know why they didn't choose Tulsi, though? Because Tulsi is too common-sensed and too diametrically opposed to anything.
She's not on the Green New Deal boat.
Nope,
she's just not there. My belief is he was brought in, figured, I'm sure the deal they cut with him, all you have to do is be president for a year. Then you can resign because of health insurance. You'll still be the president for the rest of your life. Everybody's going to call you Mr. President, blah, blah, blah. You get the pension. You get all that stuff. You can go back to Delaware and live the retired life. And the VP will take over, and she'll be our first woman president, blah, blah, blah. We've got all this.
Yep.
I'm surprised they didn't bring Hillary in and said, you have to play second fiddle for a year, and then we'll give you the chair.
Yep.
I am seriously surprised they didn't do that. Maybe they offered it and she refused to play second fiddle.
I was just going to say, I don't think Hillary would have taken it. Hillary wanted to be top dog. She didn't want to come in through the back door. So
that's what Bill said. But I'm bummed.
Ching. Yeah. Yeah. All women hated her except for Trump haters. Somebody said, "You talking about Tulsi Gabbard?" Sean. He can fire her and replace
but
her.
she has turned out to be a complete airhead. I don't want, and I think this is their problem. They can't get rid of him because they don't. Nobody in the DNC wants her to take over. She's an idiot.
That's it. Nobody wants her to
what do you think
over.
of the Polish refugee or the Ukrainian refugees? Well, a friend in need is a friend indeed.
And that's what we do. We are friends in need, and
we are here in Europe, here on the plateau, on the eastern, here in Europe, and we're here,
and we are here, and because we are here,
we're not there.
Friends.
Oh my God! Oh my God! What an it's like
what the hell, woman? I thought she was a little more savvy than
I did too. I was really shocked at how vapid she is. She just, I know. And I hate, and I know it's a nervous condition. She gets caught in not knowing the answer, and so she laughs. That she doesn't know how to get out of that. And we talk about this in acting class all the time. It's a nervous tick people have, and the only time I would do it when Amy would like, what about this? And I would be like, well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Whoops. How did you find out about that?
I tend to be a person that will say, I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. That's the way I tend to approach those moments. Yeah, but I can understand that.
I think what's going to happen.
Somebody who is presidential material has the ability to think on their feet. If you posed me with a question that I didn't know the right answer to, I'll bet you I could do a hell of a lot better than Kamala Harris.
You know what my current fear is? Here's what my current fear is. That because Pelosi's already said, I want to resign. I'm going to, I don't want to run again. And this is going to be my last time as speaker, blah, blah, blah. I could see them swinging a deal with her. We're going to get Kamala to resign. They're going to remove her from office. They're going to give the job to Pelosi. Then Biden will retire, and she will be the first woman president. She'll have 2 years in office to do her thing, and then she can run for re-election twice because her time filling out his time does not count against her 8 years.
She's already in her 80s.
Oh yeah, I don't think she'll.
No way.
I don't think she'd win if she ran.
I think she only stuck around because they won the presidency.
But again, she would get the same thing. Biden's president for 2 years, gets to be called Mr. President for the rest of life. She would step down. She'd get to be president for 2 years. She'd be called Madam President for the rest of her life. She'd be in the history books as the first woman president. That would burn Hillary's bridge.
I think, and I've said this for a couple of years now, at least a year, I said Joe Biden has destroyed his legacy. Now, if nothing else, whether you liked him or not, whether you agreed with what the Obama administration's accomplishments were, Joe Biden was done. He was done. He retired. He was going fishing. He had his legacy. You know what? 8 years as a vice president after 40 years being in Congress is a pretty good accomplishment on your resume. So he could have built his vice presidential library, which he did, and retired. And in the meantime of all that, he lost his oldest son, which I've said that kind of thing will take the wind out of your sails.
Oh, yeah. That affected him mentally more than anything.
It did. They say dementia can be very much exacerbated by trauma like that. And
I think that's the key to Hunter's badness or behavior is that he was always in the shadow of his brother. Okay. Clearly his dad was grooming him to become a congressman or a senator to take his seat in the House or whatever. Right. And and then got cancer and died, and he can't turn to Hunter because Hunter's literally
he's a dope.
He's a dope. He's an idiot. And Madonna, what?
It says, I want my Iowa X says, I want Madonna to be the first woman president. She did a good job playing Eva Perón.
Drew Barrymore would be a much better president, and she'd be easy on the eyes.
Yeah, I like Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, I look at that and I'm like, what the hell? And so I look at the laptops and all that, and I'm like, he can't be that stupid. I think he did these things intentionally to screw with his dad.
Hold on. No, I didn't. I'm just talking with Dave. We're just in the chat room.
What's she saying, honey?
Yeah. They have to leave here at 8.
They need to leave here at 7:50.
Oh, you told me 8.
Yeah,
so
7:50. It starts at 8. So
I can do 7:50.
And they need to make
Scotty gets up at 5.
They need to make a lunch too. Okay, that's first I heard that. So
that's why I'm checking with you now. If you got my text message.
Being yelled at for nothing.
Tell her I love her.
I get back to sleep if I know you don't know everything that's going on.
Well, I'm glad you told me to get him up at 8, so I can get him up at 7:50. I can get lunches going for him at 7:15. Yeah, if I had checked my messages, you are absolutely right. I would have known all those details. Not being an ass. You just told me if I'd have checked my messages, I'd know everything. Well, I've been on the radio. That's the kind of yelling I've had at me all day. So.
All I want to know is I don't have to fucking do everything all tomorrow, but fuck it. You know what?
You asked me if I get the boy.
I will take care of it.
That's your interpretation of that?
Take care of everything with the kids.
Please don't be a martyr. Please don't. It's unbecoming. All right. She will take care of everything tomorrow. Because obviously I can't wake the boy up and make him a lunch at 7:15 because I don't know why.
Get up at 5 o'clock anyways and make coffee, so I don't know why you couldn't do that.
I know.
See, you're not even listening. You are so
Rainey, I did listen. Well, you know what I said? I'll get up at 7:15 and make his lunch.
Okay. There's another kid.
So I am listening.
Kid here. I don't know if we need to make him a lunch too.
Well, if we have to, we got stuff to make lunches for his friend. I can handle it. I've done this for 30 years. All right. There you go. There was you didn't get to see the full other side, but that's what's been going on here all day.
Don, shoot me now.
Yeah. Shoot me now, Iowa X. Cocaine is the key to Hunter. Yeah. If you speak up against their math, you'll be canceled. I know black first-time millennial voters who did not vote for Biden. Yeah.
I'm still amazed that he got the votes that he got.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, me too. He shouldn't have been elected. I don't think he was fairly elected. I really don't.
Well, I'm dumbfounded that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at him and say, he's not even a quarter of the man he was 10 years ago.
That's right.
He has seriously slid downhill.
You look at videos of him from 10 years ago.
I love my parents and I live with them, and they're in their 90s. Sure. I wouldn't elect either of them to be president right now.
Yeah. So, well,
I quite envision Joe getting up in the morning and looking at the paper. Did you people know that Putin invaded? Yeah, that happened 28 days ago. What? Yeah. We had this conversation yesterday. We did?
Yeah.
What are we doing about it? Well, you're giving him billions of dollars in aid. Can we afford that? No, we can't, but you've done it. So
you've done it.
And I'm sure that conversation happens every damn morning.
Where is here? One of the children ran off with my phone, I think.
you want me to ring it?
No, it's not here. It's not on my desk, and it's not in my
I know.
pocket.
It will ring in their bed wherever they're at. I'm sure it's Rowan.
That's why I wasn't getting text messages. Yeah, go ahead and ring it.
If I can do this without losing. Oh, good.
I think it's up in the living room. I think somebody used it for the remote for the television. Because the kids lose the 2 remotes for the television up there, the remote and the backup remote.
Phone is a remote.
We have software.
Aren't you posh?
We software on the phone for the TV. So we fought with them so much about losing the remotes all the time. Rainey went and got an app for our Roku. And so I don't hear the phone anywhere. It's probably upstairs, tucked in the sofa somewhere. So it's also my alarm. I don't hear it.
Well, oh, here. I dialed the wrong number. Are you the 8115? 8115? Is that you? Okay.
It's over here. And it's not ringing. It's on silent. You know why? Somebody was playing games on that phone and set it to silent. So I wouldn't have heard your any messages come in anyway. I'm just curious. Let's check Dave's coffee and see if he knows that we use this Sanka instead of fresh ground beans. Let's see. Here, hold on. Getting rid of all the games she had open. Games. I was just told 3 minutes ago I can take the kids to the lockdown tomorrow, too. There's a lock-in. So that's all. Oh, Dave, you froze. You're gone. I hate things that are said because it's supposed to be some sort of what's the legal term in court? Some kind of damage thrown at you for well, I don't like the way you said something. So, contempt of court, you get to do this other time now, or other fine. What's that called again? What's that term? So, a lock-in, Sean, that is where all the Cub Scouts go late in the afternoon once a year, and they're locked down all night long. Play games all night, and everybody sleeps in something. So sleeps on their cots and junk like that. So, Dave, you're not coming in. There you go. I hear you.
All right.
I'm going to remove you from the studio, your other one.
There we go. Now I don't hear anything. Say something.
I'm here.
Okay. So anyway,
yeah.
I screwed everything up.
Roger Rabbit, you are absolutely right there. So there it is.
I still think you and I should do a Poly Chicks show.
A Poly Chicks?
Yeah, we don't discuss politics in Lodge. We call it Poly Chicks.
Poly Chicks. There it is. Yeah, we could do that. I am so burned out on politics. So it's just ongoing. It's never ending. It's a never fucking ending problem.
That's only because we allow politicians to participate.
Yeah.
We could get rid of the politicians and just go back to farmers and plumbers and people like that running things, life would be so much better. Just the everyday Joe. You get to go in there for 3 years and do your thing for king and country.
That's right.
Remember the good old days when they served us?
Yes, I do.
God. Now you can go in there with the best of intentions. You come from some middle class job making $40,000 or $50,000 a year. You become a congressman, and at the end of your first year in Congress, making $140,000 a year, you're a millionaire. Now I don't understand the math in that.
Yeah, I know.
And if you can stay in office for a full term, then there's a good chance you'll be a multimillionaire. And if you are lucky enough to get reelected for 4 or 5 decades, you can retire on money that you can't even imagine.
That's right. That's right. If we had a plumber president, the toilets would all work.
Yes, it would.
There it is. So
probably argue over whether or not there was a union contractor brought in or not, but
Lewis, the book stuff, the Kickstarter is over. We did not make goal, so it all canceled out. But you can go to the website. Here, I'm going to actually type it into the chat room.
And the good news is you haven't lost any money because they didn't take any money out of your card.
That's right. They don't take any money out of the card unless we had made goal. And we didn't make goal, so nobody lost a penny. Nobody made a penny. And so there it is. You can now go to theswordandtheclay.com and you can click on the links there and purchase your book. And Dave, I don't know if you know this. I can't see you.
I can't see you either. And I'm not sure why. Oh, I can see. No, I can see you. I can't see me. Is what I meant to say. I see a little circle with an icon, but I don't see me. Do I not have a camera on? Looks like I have a camera on. I got a little green light going.
Huh. That's weird.
Wait.
There you are.
My thumb had bumped the camera button down there, and I had shut it off.
Uh-oh. Well,
weird because I have a delay between the phone and the tablet, which are right next to each other, and I say something on the phone, and then quite some time later, there's a delay on the on the tablet.
Sure. Yeah. So, punitive, that's the word I was looking for. It was, I just found out yesterday, or maybe even earlier today, about this lockdown all-nighter thing. And I've gone on a couple of those with the kids.
I did those as a kid when I was a kid.
I don't like doing those. As an adult, don't like doing them.
Sleeping on a cold concrete floor, it's good for your back.
That's right. Well, you can bring a cot, and that's just as bad. But or an air mattress or whatever you want to do. Not my thing. Go into those things. If my son, if there was nobody else to take him and he was going, I'd go with him. Well, Rainey had already said she was going with him. Now it's been put on me as punitive damages for my probably not recognizing the all-encompassing monarchy that is my wife. So, do things the way you're told, there are punitive damages, even if the perception is wrong. So
it's time spent with the boy. There's never a bad thing about that.
That's it. Well, it's not the boy anymore. It's the two little girls. They go rock climbing. They do archery. They do basketball. They do all the games and stuff. And
Uncle Dave approves.
Keep them up all night.
Uncle Dave approves.
Okay. Oh, you're taking them? Okay. Not my
Sadly, I won't be able to do that, but I would if I were there.
Oh. Yeah. Not my thing. So, and it's probably an activity I wouldn't even told my kids existed. So,
well, you're a good stick in the mud curmudgeon. So
I am. There is a time I would have done those things. There's a time when I worked with youth when I led those things. Nowadays,
you're an
I'm
old
like,
bud. I'm still a young man, so I
you
I
are.
can see the joy in that.
There's a thing, we've both
I've been
been
25 for 30 some years, and I'm good at it.
I see it. It's all over your face. Yeah, and but Rainey and I have both been under the weather. Me being older than she is, it hit me differently. Whatever it was we had.
Maybe you
I'm
had the new
coming
COVID.
out of it now. Wasn't COVID.
Maybe it was a tumor.
It wasn't a tumor.
Not a tumor.
But yeah, taking the kids, I pulled an all-nighter last night to be able to, almost all-nighter, to be able to.
Okay. It's 12:46.
Yeah.
I signed on at 9:46.
So we've gone 3 hours. I think it's time to call quits.
You should do a 3-hour show. You say you don't have it in you, but you do have it in you.
Oh, sure I do. It's it's easier to do a 3-hour show when you have somebody to play off of. Tougher to do a 3-hour show when you are.
I'll call Rocky and set up a contract. And
there you go. Yeah, when you're
the Dave and Scotty show.
That's right. That's right.
Hot Scott.
Yeah. Good night, Louis Boyce. How many years have you dedicated to your beard, Dave Potter? Roger Rabbit wants to know.
Okay, so I started growing. So I had a goatee. When I became a senior deacon, I grew it out on the sides, and I just stopped growing it. It's 7 years to go through those chairs, but I didn't go through the first year, so 5 years, and then I went around. So 5 years was 2019, or 2020. That's when I sat in the East. Then we had somebody step out of line, so I jumped back to the West, and now I'm back in the East. So 7 years. Yeah, so it has been 7 years.
Yep.
So
yeah, makes sense.
But as soon as I finish, I'm doing my official master's portrait in an 1800s frock coat and everything. I want to confuse our brothers 100 years from now when they look at all the old pictures on the wall. And
That's right.
Those are the 1800s, and here were the 70s. Look at the size of those ties, and here were the 80s. Wow, look at that hair. And then here are the 90s. Here's the 2000s. WTF? What's with this guy from 1800?
Yeah, what's he doing in here?
Twice. Yeah.
It's a time travel conundrum.
Yeah.
So it's too bright.
So all this is going away. I'm getting rid of it.
You going back to goatee or a shorn beard?
I'm probably going to go back to a goatee. Get rid of all this stuff on the sides. It's so shaggy, and I let it grow under my chin, which I never did when I had my goatee. So I've got long hair everywhere, and then of course I grew my hair out. So going back to a short haircut and a little goatee, and I'm going to stop looking like a homeless man and actually start looking like I actually have a job.
I thought you look like a Michelangelo's version of God.
You know, when I wear my, I don't have it here because I left it in the car, but when I wear my square hat that I wore as the sheriff out at the Renaissance Festival, I look like Leonardo with my beard like this.
Oh, yeah.
I get that all the time.
Barbie D asks, David, you're a Mason?
Yep, I am a Mason.
So there you go.
Now ask me if I'm a turtle.
Are you a turtle?
You bet your sweet ass I am.
Are you a chifferobe?
No.
I am not a chifferobe. All right. On that note, let's get out of here. Folks, thanks for hanging out so long tonight.
Yeah,
it's just
that's
fun
crazy.
having a conversation.
Didn't mean to keep you here till 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's all right. I'll be asleep by 1 o'clock. So I want to thank everybody for being here, sticking it out. And it's rare that we ever do anything like this. Nice to talk to Dave and nice to have hung around for a while. So that's all I got. So live long and prosper. Hey, there it is. All right, guys.
Yeah,
you all
baby.
take care. And we will see you sometime in the very near future. Might be Sunday morning, might be Monday night. So that's it. See you later.
Arturo thing.